Yo, Odds, you got to chill, man. Welcome to Chicago Bears Now. My name is Harrison Graham, and we are live here on YouTube on a Thursday. Appreciate everybody for tuning in to today's show. It'll kind of be a combo show, kind of what we've been doing the last couple days, but we got a few segments lined up as well. So kind of be a hybrid of what a normal live show is versus a free agency live show. We'll definitely still take some super chats, some questions, all that stuff. So come rock and roll with us. Appreciate you for being here. Producer Cullen back on the ones and twos as always. Shout out your city. Let us know where you're tuning in from. Will the Bears sign a player today, or are they just done? They might just be done, at least for a while. Feels like they could just be done.
Yeah, it just feels like they're kind of just chilling. You know, like they'll make a signing eventually.
Chat's pretty funny. Yeah, we'll see what they do. We got DJ in Chicago.
The chat's in a good mood today, which we can always appreciate.
It's day 4. I mean,
it's day 4, yeah.
Just kind of cut it loose. Have a good time.
Yeah. We got a segmented live for you guys today. Are you guys excited?
Yeah, who's back? DC Viper says bring back Jalen Jones. I'd be down for Jalen Jones to come back. Good special teamer.
Also, the return of Cullen's weekly draft crushes today. So we're getting a little bit of that.
Who's back of the week?
Who's back of the week, baby?
Oh, you want to get some shouts? Got a little drainage going on here.
I was about to say, Cornelius from Southside. We got Rockford from Bears Down Podcast. We got Merrimack, Wisconsin from Brian. Crushville from Lacora. Vetersville, Indiana from Braden. Tim Hicks says Bakersfield, California. We've got Jordan, Minnesota from Santana. What up, Santana? Cornelius. We got the Villages, Florida from Malcolm. Awesome from Northbrook. We got Donald from South Bend, Indiana. Bency Beast from South Bend. What up, y'all? Canton, Illinois from Terry. Bear down,
What's
baby.
good, Santana? We're getting you hooked up with your jersey. Got your info. Let's go. Tim says, is Aaron Rodgers going to Pittsburgh? I still think they're the favorite, but until something happens, I mean, Giants are going to keep pursuing unless they just – I wonder if the Giants will just get nervous tomorrow, Colin, and just sign Russell Wilson.
Which would be the smart thing.
Do you actually think it would?
Like – the Steelers did this today with Mason Rudolph, right? You sign a quarterback in case, free agents or the rest of free agency / the draft doesn't work your way. The Giants, yes, it is different because they have the 3rd overall pick, but again, it's not out of the realm of possibility that Ward and Sanders go 1 and 2.
Sure, but if you really want Rodgers, I don't think you can sign Wilson first because Wilson's not signing with you and still letting you pursue Rodgers. Like that's
letting
not.
Him. This is also 2025. Russell Wilson? I mean, hey, listen, we'll sign you, but if Rodgers is there,
yeah,
we'll sign
you. If they're still pursuing Rodgers, it's not like they can give Russ the
15,
money, 20 million.
I mean, yeah, I don't know the Giants.
Like if they sign Russ, they're bowing out of the Rodgers sweepstakes. They're not signing both.
I get that they're desperate and everything, and Rodgers is their last play. Say Russ were to sign with Cleveland, and Rodgers were to go to Pittsburgh. If you're the Giants, and then again, Cam Ward. Doomsday scenario, Cam Ward, Shedeur Sanders. Like, you feel like you would have to trade into the number 1 overall pick, would you not?
Well, and based on what Tennessee has done at quarterback, I think they're just going to take Cam Ward.
Yeah.
They haven't added. I mean, Brandon Allen.
Which is not a given.
Is Will Levis going to start? I doubt it. Yeah, I mean, if you just get nervous and you're the Giants, I could see them doing it. I'm just saying if they sign Russ, they're out of the Rodgers sweepstakes. That's all I'm saying.
Oh, okay. Sorry, you remember the thing we were talking about before live? I did see this.
What did I see?
The Seahawks do have interest in former Bears guard Tevin Jenkins.
Oh, there you go. Who had that report?
It was Corbin K. Smith. He did some stuff. He's locked on Seahawks, former Sports Illustrated writer. Yeah, he's had a couple pretty good scoops.
I wonder what Tevin's market is. I mean, the Texans, who have on paper maybe the worst O-line in football right now after trading Laramie Tunsil. They just traded a 6th-round pick for Ed Ingram from the Vikings, and he stinks.
Yeah.
So is that a bad sign for Tevin, or is he holding out for a bigger contract? I don't really know, but
James Rappian of Sports Illustrated also seconds that report. So there you go.
All right.
So obviously, they missed out on Will Fries. So could the former Bear be headed to Seattle?
I mean, the two guards left that are like good players are Tevin and Mekhi Becton. At least notable good players. You got Brandon Scherf still. He's a good player.
Yeah. Could be like a kind of stopgap option.
Yeah, we saw Tennessee do that with Will Zeitler.
Yeah.
Kevin Zeitler, excuse me. So we'll see. All right, who should the Bears sign next? Who do you want? I also put a live poll up if you want to go vote on it. I said, who would you rather bring back, Keenan Allen or Matt Pryor? But then I also added both or neither. 43% say Keenan, 24% say Matt Pryor, 17% say both, 16% say neither.
Interesting. Yeah, I mean, we'll talk about it obviously a little bit more as we get into the rest of the show, but I want Matt Pryor should be the one that comes back. I think he just is.
I think when you factor in money, like if Matt Pryor's like $4 or $5 million and Keenan's like more like 10, I'd rather have Matt Pryor back.
Mm-hmm.
Be that top backup offensive lineman.
Yep.
Play that role. I think that's where I'm at. Marco says Cooper. Israel says Mitch Trubisky. Is he under contract with Buffalo? I don't even know.
I honestly don't
Donald says Jay Cutler. Jason Campbell. What year is it? David Montgomery, not a free agent. Need to sign safety depth. Yeah, they're going to need to add a safety at some point, whether it's in the draft or free agency.
Yeah. According to ESPN, Trubisky's on the Bills roster. So
Ryan Poles meeting with the media again today.
What time is he going?
Him and Ben Johnson, they actually just started.
Oh.
It's not on Twitter for some reason, but Courtney Cronin, little exchange. Poles said, we all watched the Super Bowl. You want to have waves of pass rushers. He was then followed up with the Bears still thinking of adding on the defensive line. He said, quote, you can't have enough pass rushers. We're always looking to add and improve that group, but I feel good about where we're at today. So kind of a wait-and-see type of answer. The Dayo contract is official. He has signed. Drew Dalman has signed as well. We're going to hear from them here in a little bit, so we'll kind of pass along any relevant information. All right, Edward, our first Super Chat of the day. We better draft Scatabo. You've been on that, Edward. You want Scat.
Yes.
You want Scat. If it's round 3, I'm in. I don't want him at 10, 39, or 41, though.
Not what you would want the Bears to do, but what you think the Bears will do. Yes, they will draft Scatabo, type Y, or no, they won't, type in.
What I think they will do?
Yes.
I mean,
do you
just
think
playing,
Scatabo is an option for the Bears?
I think he's an option, but if I'm just playing the odds, I would say no.
Okay.
Right? Because, I mean, but you would probably say that with almost any player.
Right,
but
sure.
I also think they'll be more interested in other running backs.
We got Crane saying no, Bears saying no, our Bear Down edits, Malcolm saying no, Tim saying no, Robert says yes, Edward says yes. Mostly no's. I think it, like you said, Jeanty seems like the obvious pick if he's available. If not, using a running back 39, 41 if they don't trade back into the first round makes a lot of sense. And Scatabo, I mean, even the biggest Scatabo fans I don't think are going to have him going that high.
No.
Maybe I'm wrong, but
I think he'll get some round 2 grades from some people, but I think where the Bears are picking, it's too early. Ben Johnson on Drew Dalman. He's going to be the quarterback of our offensive line. I think we can put even more on his plate than what he's been exposed to before. So you heard Ben Johnson use the word intelligence yesterday when asked about the offensive lineman they had. I think that clearly applies to Dalman. That's critical because they're going to probably ask him to do a lot of the protections and that sort of stuff with this offensive line. So, which is big. It just takes stuff off Caleb's plate. Like, last year Waldron had him setting protections from week 1 as a rookie. And, at the time I was like, okay, like kind of throw him in the deep end, see how it goes. But it's probably asking him to do too much. None of the other rookie quarterbacks were asked to do that. So I'm glad they got a center in here they feel like can do all that stuff from day dot. Marcus, Abdul Carter falls to 4. Would you call New England move up 10, 39, day 3 pick next year? I mean, if it only costs you that much, probably. But I think if you're moving up from 10 to 4, it's probably costing you a future 1.
yeah,
which I'm not going to do. Then at 41, take Judkins. I mean, if you told me that exact scenario could play out, I would do it. But I also don't think that's realistic. I think it would cost more. I think it would cost more.
Yeah. No, I mean, I think, Harry, you said it best. I think if he slips out of the top, to 5,
If
6,
he gets to
7,
6,
yeah.
I get pretty interested.
Mhm.
Like I would do that exact trade right there to get to 6 probably.
Mhm.
Because I think that's more reasonable. But remember, like these high picks, I mean, even in a draft that's considered weaker in the first round, like it's still like you're moving up. If you're moving up more than 4 spots in the top 10 picks, the chances of you not having to give up a first round pick are very slim. Now, maybe New England would just take it if they just really wanted to move back, but I'd be surprised. I think they would just take Carter in that scenario.
Agreed. Yeah, it just makes a lot of sense.
Schefter said
Yeah.
the Patriots were willing to offer Chris Godwin $28 to $30 million.
Want to get Drake May a target. They were rumored to be interested in T. Higgins.
It's not a good sign, man. You can't get Godwin coming off a major injury at $30 million a year. That ain't good, man.
Tedro McMillan, you are a Patriot.
Maybe. Honestly, if you're a Bears fan, you should be rooting for that.
Yeah.
Because think about, how about this scenario? If you want to get to the Abdul Carter scenario, let's say quarterbacks go top 2 or 2 of the top 3, like Giants take 1 if the Browns don't. Travis Hunter and
I think
McMillan at 4.
Yeah, I think it would go Cam and Shador back to back. Travis Hunter to the Giants, because I think even our Giants guy, Marshall Green, was
McMillan to the Patriots.
McMillan to the Patriots. So then you're sitting there at 5. Let's say Mason Graham, like the Jags just love him, goes there at 5.
That's probably the path where you're like, could you trade up and get Carter? Now, I feel like knowing Pete Carroll, like defensive, like I'd find it hard to believe he wouldn't take Carter at 6.
Yeah.
But maybe Spytech is thinking, hey, this is a pretty valuable pick. We could get 2 or 3 impactful picks, move down to 10, and then maybe they would want to take Jeanty at 10.
Maybe.
So, be interesting. I think that's really the only path to Carter getting outside the top 5. Unless this injury thing ends up being more severe than we think it is.
Agreed.
Which there's no indication that'll be the case.
100%. Let us know down below. So far, again, it's mainly been day 1 with outside of Scott Daly on day 2.
Scott Daly. Never forget when Scott Daly was the only Bear signing for a 3-day period.
Yeah. So pretty much from day 1, great the moves. How do you think the Bears have done so far? A, B, C, D, or F?
I think it's been good, especially when you factor in the trades. It was kind of an early flurry, but they've stayed disciplined here. They're kind of waiting out, seeing what else they want to do. I'm pretty happy with where they're at. I think they've done enough to where they can enter the draft pretty flexible now. I still think you'll see a couple minor moves, like a depth piece at safety, linebacker maybe. Certainly could add a receiver to the mix as well. But some of those moves you'll be able to do after the draft too. Like remember, something to keep in mind, the comp pick formula, and if the Bears lose, if Keenan Allen and Tevin sign elsewhere, they might be in the net positive there, which means they could get a comp pick in the following draft. So the Bears might wait this out. Now, the day after the draft is when the comp pick formula stops. So that's when another wave of free agency happens. You see more guys sign because teams are trying to play out the comp pick formula. I don't know if the Bears are already in that wait mode, but they could be. They could be trying to project ahead, try to get a pick secured for next year, and then, attack a couple more spots after the draft. But we'll have to wait and see what their approach is.
Yeah.
Jack Conklin and the Browns revised contract.
There you go.
So he is staying in Cleveland.
Yeah. Not that there was ever a doubt, but Sam Darnold is officially wearing 14 in Seattle.
Sorry, DK.
It's never a question. Okay, so guys, we do have some segments for you guys today. 3 of them to be exact. Let us know too down below if you guys want kind of a mix of free agency, like if you guys want us to hit the Bears moves, talk about any free agents that are still on the board. Let us know down below. If y'all are more looking for the segments or maybe some free agency coverage. We got the tools for all of them. So
yeah, we can do both. We can do more of a normal live show if y'all want to do that. If y'all want to get rowdy with super chats, we can do that, but not needed at all. It's been a long week.
Yeah.
Totally up to you guys. We got plenty of content queued up here. Cooper Cup update, Jeff Howe tweet. Let's see.
We'll look it up.
See what
Make sure to like that video.
See what old Jeffy Howe is saying. He says, regarding Cooper Cup's market, I've heard a handful of teams that believe someone will be willing to offer him around $12 million per year. That'll be too much for some teams, but like anything in free agency, it's fluid, and we'll see if that number changes or how he weighs the money against the destination. So, look, if it's that price tag, I don't expect the Bears to be in the mix.
No.
I would not be in that business.
Yeah, I think that prices them out, and then, yeah, I mean that's you're talking what, Patriots, Packers could be potentially interested. Seahawks.
I think the most I'd go is like 8.
Yeah. For a wide receiver 3, yeah, like I don't even know if you really want to approach double digits, to be honest.
I mean, look, if you're the Patriots and you just have unlimited funds and you just need a piece for Drake May, like, sure, like, pay 12, hell, pay 14. If it's a one-year deal, it's not going to break you long-term. But if you're the Bears, I don't think, you may not even literally have that cap space right now. We don't know that because of the Grady contract not being announced in terms of cap hits. But, yeah, it depends on the team. I don't think the Bears will pay that. It'll be curious to see what Kupp does, because I think a team like New England would probably offer more than others, but, like, is that what he's looking for? Is he trying to stay in a similar system? Is he trying to be on a more veteran competitive team? We'll see. Yeah, Ed Ingram traded. We mentioned that a minute ago, so.
Yeah, people are talking about mock drafts down below. We do have a mock coming up, potentially, if y'all want to.
Yeah, we could do that. I'm going to do one of my new. I also, if you want just a round 1 mock, including the Bears pick, I just put one out on 4 Verts. When we're about to sign off, I'll put that link in the chat. But go subscribe to my other channel, 4 Verts, find out who the Bears took. And I will have a new Bears 7-round mock draft out either tomorrow or this weekend. So be on the lookout as we'll do kind of a post-first wave of free agency mock draft. All right, here's what we got coming up here on Chicago Bears Now, the latest Bears news and rumors. Talk about Keenan Allen and Matt Pryor. Are they guys that the Bears could look to bring back? Hashtag Bears or Super Chat. We will take some questions from you guys. Fire away. Hashtag Bears or Super Chat. We will also rank the Bears' options of what to do with the number 10 pick. Who do they pick? Do they trade up? Do they trade down? What are the best scenarios? I rank my current favorite scenarios from 1 to 10, so we will get to that. Couple supers to hit, and then we will dive in. M. Xavier, thoughts if McMillan is at 10 and running back on day 2. I mean, look, I love McMillan, but even I'm having a pretty disciplined approach here. Like, we'll get to my scenarios at 10 coming up, and I've got 10 of them. And a little teaser, McMillan is one of them, but he's not like one of the higher scenarios that I would consider. But, again, I think you're flexible enough. If you go pure PPA and he's their best player available, hey, I'm not against taking a player you think is really good at football. I just don't know who takes what role then. Like, is he your X and Rome or DJ's in the slot and the other one's the Z? Like, I don't know. I feel like Ben Johnson could figure it out, but it'd be fun. It definitely would be fun, but yeah, I don't know. I'll say this: if they draft Tetero and McMillan, you want a prediction? DJ Moore is off this team next offseason.
Yeah,
they would trade him in a year. I think this year you would just try to have this supercharged wide receiver room, and then you trade him while he's still pretty young and try to get something for him. That would be my thought, because you just don't keep 3 receivers of that caliber typically for an extended period of time.
Yeah. Yeah, because DJ's how old? 27? 27 years old?
Yeah, 26, 27. He's still 27,
like he's still in his prime. But
they just paid him last off season. So I view him and Rome as the future at receiver for at least the next 2 to 3 years. But if you took McMillan, I mean, I think that would throw a wrench into that.
Yeah, 27. Yep.
Alex Amerling, We need a speedster, not Keenan. I tend to agree, but, you know, if he was willing to take a DeAndre Hopkins type of contract, look, if Keenan Allen wants to play here for $6 million, I wouldn't say no. I kind of thought he could get like 15. Maybe he still will, but doesn't seem like that's going to be the case. So we'll have to see how it plays out. But if I'm betting on him coming back, probably not. But we're going to talk about him and Matt Pryor coming up. So stay tuned. Lots to get to. We'll answer more questions coming up. Hashtag Bears Super Chat. Hit that like button, and let's go. All right, we got some Bears free agency rumors to dive into here in just a second. But, guys, we are so close to our next milestone here on the channel. We're trying to get to 119,000 subscribers. We're less than 300 away. If you want free and daily Bears YouTube videos, we are the channel for you. Hit that subscribe button, and let's go. Two of the Chicago Bears' most notable free agents are still out there, and on today's show, I'm going to explore if they should bring them back. My name is Harrison Graham. Welcome into Bears Now. You got Matt Pryor, you got Keenan Allen, two guys that I'm pretty intrigued with still at this point in time. I've started to come around to the idea of bringing Keenan Allen back. I was pretty certain he'd be gone, and if I was a betting man, I'd still guess that is the case, but we'll talk about him here in a little bit. Let's talk about Matt Pryor, who I think was one of the better stories for the Bears last year. I mean, obviously the offensive line was an issue, and I'm not going to act like Matt Pryor was a world beater, but they signed him to be kind of a camp body, roster bubble guy, and not only did he make the team, he started most of the year because of the Nate Davis situation, and he had the best year of his career, kind of settled in at that guard spot where before he's kind of been just filling wherever, which he can certainly do, but I think he built some confidence playing at one position primarily throughout the season. Brad Biggs of the Tribune had this note that Matt Pryor cashed in the NFL's performance-based pay, which is based on playing time and salary level. Pryor received just over $1 million, the fifth highest total in the league. And in other words, he far outplayed his contract. Like, he was on a cheap vet minimum deal that a lot of those guys just get cut, don't even make the 53. I thought he played pretty admirably. I thought he played at a serviceable starter level, certainly a high-level backup level for a guy who, again, didn't even really think would make the team when they signed him, and he just played well in camp and in the preseason. All of a sudden, he's in the starting lineup, and he's at least holding his own. Now, I think some of these grades, PFF can be spotty. I think it's a good benchmark. I think it's probably a little too rich. Like, is he really one of the best pass blocking guards in the NFL? Probably not. But again, I think he played at a serviceable starting level. And, I kind of wondered, like, could a team sign him to be a starter? Like, you look at a team like the Texans, they just traded for Ed Ingram. I think Matt Pryor is better than Ed Ingram, but that's neither here nor there. I look at this group, obviously he wouldn't start. If you brought him back, he'd be a backup. And look, maybe he's holding out hope for a starting job somewhere with a team. But I still think you could use a quality backup that can play guard, that can play tackle. Obviously, we are hopeful Karan Amagaji can be a reliable backup, but he may also have to take some starting reps in the offseason with Braxton Jones banged up. I like Bill Murray. He's coming off a major injury, has limited playing time in the NFL. Ricky Stromberg is probably really only just a center. Then you have a bunch of guys, Ryan Bates, if healthy, is a quality backup. Major injury problems last year. I would cut Ryan Bates and sign Matt Pryor right now. If you cut Ryan Bates, you save $4 million. Give Matt Pryor that $4 million, and if you need to give him 5 or 6, okay. Even if it's $6 million, that's low-level starter, high-level backup. Okay, you basically paid $2 million from him because Ryan Bates proved last year, unreliable with his health. Matt Pryor, if nothing else, was pretty reliable. He was available. They did what he asked. And he played at a serviceable, solid level. So I would like for him to come back. You may have to wait a little while because, again, he could be looking for a starting job. He might find one in a league that, let's face it, could use better offensive line play. And the way he played last year, he could certainly start for somebody. But, if that opportunity dries up, maybe he'd be willing to come back to Chicago, and you could kind of sell him on a number 6 offensive lineman. We're like, hey, you were going to be our top backup. If one of our tackles gets hurt, you go in. If one of our guards gets hurt, you go in. And I think in that role, he could be pretty good. Dan Skipper in Detroit played some snaps last year because Ben Johnson uses 6 offensive linemen sometimes. So I think he could be someone that could do that. So hopefully that's still under consideration for both parties. As long as he's available, it certainly remains to be a possibility. Do you want Matt Pryor back? I do. Type Y for yes. Type in for no. Let me know in the comments section down below. And coming up next, we will talk about Keenan Allen as well, as a bit of a surprise that he remains unsigned at this point in free agency. But first, got to tell you about our sponsor, Prize Picks. Daily fantasy made easy at prizepicks.com/CLNS. Use the code CLNS to get a $50 bonus when you sign up and play your first lineup for just $5. It's really easy. You just set lineups of 2 or more players up to 6, and you pick more or less on the stat projections that Prize Picks offers. Basketball, baseball, when you're in football season, tons of stats to play like fantasy score, yards, touchdowns, points, rebounds. Basketball, the action is heating up on the court. You got baseball just around the corner. You can cross over your sports with your picks. Got a little example of a lineup right here as Austin Reeves with LeBron James banged up is basically the number 2 right now at the Lakers. So I like the more on his points, rebounds, and assists. Kobe White, I got the more on his points. Bulls has kind of been cooking recently. So 10 to win 30 on that one. You can win up to 1,000 times your money on certain lineups. $10 can turn into 10,000 if you hit. So get started. What are you waiting for? If you're a new customer, use our link, prizepicks.com/CLNS. Code CLNS. Get you a $50 bonus when you sign up and just play $5. Doesn't matter if you win or lose. You're getting an additional $50 for free. Okay. Let's talk a little Keenan Allen. Could he be back in Chicago? I'd say it's a surprise that he remains unsigned. He's certainly still a starting caliber receiver in this league. For some teams, a number 2. I think on a good team, a number 3 role, working the slot, is proper for him. Definitely saw a dip last year. He's lost a step, but still a good route runner. Can still certainly play at a solid level. Remember, during the season, he hopped on a podcast. I think it was with David Kaplan. I don't quote me on that. I have to double check, but I think it was with Cap. And he was basically asked, like, hey, like, how are you viewing your upcoming free agency? Like, do you want to stay here? Do you want to go elsewhere? And he basically said, I want to either re-sign here or go back to L.A. Like, he's been in L.A. for over a decade, played his college ball at Cal. He's comfortable on the West Coast. There's no question about it. Well, let's look at Los Angeles, okay? Rams, they gave Devontae Adams $46 million. They have Puka Nacua. Now, they cut Cooper Kupp, so maybe they'd be open to bringing him in, but he'd probably have to take a cheaper deal there. I don't think he's getting top dollar there. How about the Chargers? His former teammate, they brought Mike Williams back for $6 million. Are they also going to bring Keenan Allen back? I guess it's possible, but, you know, then you kind of have this weird wide receiver room of Keenan Allen, Ladd McConkey, Quentin Johnston, Mike Williams. Probably not a true number 1 in that group. You have a couple 2s, couple 3s. Not really sure if the Chargers are going to go down that road. They might just wait for the draft to add a piece. Okay, let's look at some other West Coast teams. The Raiders. I think they make the most sense of the teams remaining. Why? Because they have Jacoby Myers, Brock Bowers, and basically no good pass catchers after that. Okay, so they could be in the mix. And they just added Geno Smith. The 49ers, they traded Deebo Samuel. Brandon Ayuk's coming off a major injury. They did sign Demarcus Robinson, who had a solid year last year, but I still think Keenan Allen's better. They have Juwan Jennings. So, okay, he could go there, but he's going to have to compete for targets. You know, that, again, kind of similar to the Chargers. They have a bunch of, like, 2s and 3s. Okay, Seattle. Seattle could make some sense. Sam Darnold is there. They lost 2 of their top 3 guys in DK Metcalf and Tyler Lockett. Jackson Smith and Jigba's there, but he's primarily a slot. Keenan, at this point, is almost exclusively a slot. Does that work? And then you've got Arizona, not West Coast, but, you know, Phoenix, Scottsdale, you know, athletes love that area. Go play with Kyler Murray. I could see that. They've got Marvin Harrison Jr., Michael Wilson on the outside. Keenan command the slot. So, okay, maybe that's a fit. But if he's truly sticking to re-sign with Chicago or West Coast, either A, he may have to expand his thinking on that, or B, maybe the Bears are still in the mix here. If the price is right, I am open to a return. I had kind of written this off. I was like, he's going to get $12, $15 million. I think PFF projected 2 for $25 million. I'm like, I'm not paying that much. Not that he's not worth it, but the Bears have DJ Moore and Rome Odeyingbo. Rome needs more target share. I'm not giving Keenan Allen $12-15 million per year. But he's still a good player. He kind of had a weird year. Remember, he had that heel issue, and then he had some drops, but then he had some big games too. Huge game against Detroit on Thanksgiving, big game against Minnesota. He kind of came on in the middle part of the season. Him and Caleb built a rapport. Caleb said on the St. Brown Bros podcast he's one of the best players he's ever played with, so clearly there's a chemistry there. Like, I'm open to it. And let's be clear, even though I don't think this team needs like a high-level wide receiver 3, which Keenan Allen is Tyler Scott that? Probably not. So if they don't re-sign Keenan, they're going to have to get somebody, whether it's in the draft or free agency. So if the money gets down to, like, if it's a little more than what Hopkins got, which was $5 million up to $6 million, I mean, if you can get him at $8 million, would you bring him back? Like, I probably would. I probably would bring him back. But here's my thing. If you bring him back, I think it needs to be clear that he is the third guy. Like, DJ and Rome are the primary weapons. Now, that doesn't mean you're like, okay, once I throw to Keenan 5 times in a game, I'm not allowed to throw to him again. I'm not saying that. You still have to go through, reads your progressions. But in terms of, like, building your game plan, you're probably not building your game plan through Keenan Allen at this point. Like, he's a guy on third down, reliability, be that safety valve for Caleb, all that stuff. Rome Odeyingbo, you took him number 9 overall. He needs more targets, period, end of story. So if he understands that and the price is right, I'm in. If not, I'm out. It's really that simple. So that's where I'm at with Keenan Allen. What say you? Where are you guys with it? Who will be the Bears wide receiver 3 in 2025? If you think it's Keenan or want it to be Keenan, let me know. If you want to predict someone else in the comments, like Cooper Kupp, go ahead. I will say this, recent report on Cooper Kupp, some teams are willing to offer up to $12 million per year. I am out at that price, just like I would be with Keenan. Too expensive. But you let me know who the Bears wide receiver 3 will be. All right, that's going to do it for this episode of Chicago Bears. Now, we will continue to monitor things in NFL free agency. Obviously, you got the draft coming up, other news and rumors, so stay tuned, lock us in, and subscribe, and bear down. All right, what's the chat saying?
Let's see. We got Keenan from a couple people. We got Cooper Kupp. See Pat Bryant, Tyler Scott.
Oh, those lights have come on twice. You guys didn't even notice this during the Prize Picks read. The overhead lights came on. So the way we do it in studios, we have like studio lights, but we turn the overhead lights off. But we've expanded our studios, and there seems to be like a glitch with the electricity in this building where sometimes the lights just automatically turn on. So we're trying to deal with it.
I had to get up mid-freaking cut just to turn the lights off.
Yeah, he sprinted from the computer, so shout out Cully.
Oh, Garrett Bradbury got released, by the way, during that cut by the Vikings.
Yeah, we kind of saw that coming.
I mean, yeah, just official.
We'll see it, Garrett.
Yeah, okay, let's see. Draft receiver.
I'll say this. If the Bears cut Ryan Bates but wanted a backup center, if Bradbury wanted to play for the vet minimum as a backup, I'd take him. A lot of experience in this division.
Yeah.
I think as a backup, he'd be pretty good. Drew Dalman was asked, what made Chicago a priority for you? He says the culture I'm playing in, the people I'm playing next to, the vision for the team as a whole. People are buying into what this team's building. Drew Dalman on Grady Jarrett's leadership. He's a guy that exhibits it every day. He's taking care of his body. He's studying every day. Let's see. It's
an interesting discussion, man. Because, again, Keenan Allen, like, the relationship with Caleb Williams is no small thing. And I'm sure Caleb Williams has communicated probably on more than one occasion to, the higher-ups in Chicago, hey, I'd like to have this guy back.
I'd like him back, yeah.
So,
yeah. I'm cool either way. I don't want to overextend for him, but if he's willing to take a little discount or if his market just comes down, I'd be okay with it.
It seems unlikely, just given the fact that
if he was more on their radar, if he was a priority, he'd be back. He's clearly not a priority. Now, that doesn't mean they're not open to it, but he's clearly not a priority.
It's also like, going back to that quote, which from from the podcast he said earlier, like, I'd rather stay here or, go back to LA. Like, I feel like if the Bears, and again, this is nothing against the Bears, but if you're the Bears and you say, hey, listen, we want you to come back, but you're probably not going to get paid as much as some other teams are willing to offer you, and we're kind of having you be the third, potentially fourth after Cole Kmet option on any given Sunday, he may or may not be, as open to joining the Bears for that reason. Again, nothing against the Bears because you have to move in the direction, given you drafted Rome Odeyingbo last year. But if I'm Keenan Allen, I'm sitting there thinking, I still have a lot to prove in this league. Maybe he thinks he can get back to what he was in years prior. But
if I'm Keenan and I want the best option of money and targets, I feel like the Raiders is his best bet. Geno has been pretty productive. I think you could argue at worst he's on the same level as Jacoby Myers, but maybe even better. Even if not, they don't have a true number one, so he's going to get targets there. Playing off of Brock Bowers, they could get pretty creative with that. So I feel like that. Like, would you take him in Seattle?
Yes.
I just don't know. Is JSN, is he playing more outside moving forward now that he's the true one?
I mean, he can play outside. He's primarily a slot, as you mentioned. Like, he played, I think, over 80% of his snaps
Same
on the
with
slot.
Keenan. Like, ideally, he's 80% of his snaps are in the slot. So
it'd be very interesting to see. And to be honest, like, I would love more of a blocking option, ironically, like a Cooper Kupp, that could play outside and can really get his nose dirty in the run game. So, like, if Keenan was wanting to come to Seattle, sure. But, again, schematic-wise, I don't think it would be the best for him. He also seems like more of a Southern California kind of guy versus a rainy Pacific Northwest kind of guy.
He just to reiterate what he said, he did say LA. He did not say the West Coast. I kind of expanded that. I was like, okay, here's some other I feel like he'd rather go to Arizona than Seattle.
Agreed.
Indoors, Scottsdale area. That's where a lot of athletes retire.
Yeah. Not everybody's built for the Pacific Northwest, man. No, I'm just kidding. But
no, it's true though. I mean, I think even Keenan last year, I think that probably contributed to some of the drops. It's like, the ball is slick and it's windy and I'm used to playing in a dome and in sunny California. It's a different thing. It's not the same.
It isn't. And we'll kind of wait and see. I think Vegas makes a lot of sense. The Chargers, it would be a weird kind of mesh, but if he were to retire as a Charger, in my mind, that's always going to be an option. How likely and
it
how
just feels to me like Keenan Allen's a better player than Mike Williams.
Yes.
So the fact that they've already signed Mike Williams makes me think that either he's out of the price range they're comfortable paying, or they just wanted to go cheap, or he didn't want to go back.
Maybe.
I don't know. I'll say this: I don't think they'll do it. Because he'd have to, and I don't know if he'd do it because he'd have to take less. The Rams would be fun, though. If he's their three behind Puka and Devontae, put him in the slot next to those two. I mean, that's is that the best trio in football? I don't know if any of either Puka or Devontae are top 5 guys, but as a trio, it's pretty fun.
Yeah, it'd be interesting. I'm trying to think of the trios. A lot of the trios have gotten broken up, to be honest, over...
It's not really a trio thing anymore.
No, it's
you had
duos.
the Bengals one. It's a lot of duos.
Seattle used to have one. They're no longer.
Even now, you're seeing teams go I think ideally most teams, with how much true wide receiver ones cost, they don't want to pay 2 of those guys. Mm-hmm. The Bengals are about to be the exception, I guess. Philly right now is an exception, but I could also see the Eagles trading A.J. Brown in 12 months. Do it for one more year and then trade him. Let Devontae be the one.
Someone's going to have another best-selling book if that happens.
Well, I think even long-term with the Bears, let's say DJ and Rome are a good pairing here and Rome continues to elevate. Well, by the time you pay Rome, maybe they overlap for 1 year, both on big deals, but then you probably by then it's about time to move on from DJ probably.
Probably.
Then you draft someone.
Yeah.
That's kind of the cycle. So.
Yeah, it makes a lot of sense. You also got to be careful with that, too, because, again, just because you believe in the talent of somebody as a number 2, Devonta Smith's been one of the most iconic receivers. I mean, won a Heisman Trophy, caught the touchdown in the national championship game, caught a touchdown in the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
I think he's a great player and everything. I'm not sure he's a number 1 in the NFL.
Yeah, he's definitely not like an A.J. Brown.
Exactly.
One.
So if you're looking to replace A.J., it's easier said than done.
Well, I think it's more of you have to make decisions, right? Like, I don't think you view it as you're replacing A.J. It's more of, we'll draft somebody in the first 2 rounds, and if he can give us 70% of the production, and then we use some of that money elsewhere, that's kind of just what you have to do.
It's fair, but, like, just when you're, building your team and everything, again, we like Roma Dunze. You think Roma Dunze will be talented. He has not been.
No, it's 1 year. I'm saying, like, if they play together for 3 years and they're both consistent 1,000-yard guys, well, at some point you're going to have to make a decision.
100%.
So, we're obviously years away from that. So, Stephon Diggs. It's been quiet around him.
Very quiet. So I was kind of higher on him last offseason. I ended up being proven kind of wrong on that just because
he was. I thought he actually was playing pretty well with Houston, but then he gets hurt, and you're like, He's been a verbal kind of a talker in the past. Now he's coming off an injury. What's up?
Oh, it's so warm.
It's very toasty.
It's a bloodbath. Yeah.
We haven't had a signing in 40 minutes. So I'm just
yeah. There's
Garrett Bradbury getting released is about the biggest news we've had.
That and an Ed Ingram trade.
Falcons re-signed Brandon Parker.
Oh, Brandon Parker. He's back, baby.
Got to get him on screen. Give me a second.
He is back.
That's funny.
We're chilling. Yeah, we got some segments going here, so.
We're kind of doing more of a traditional live today.
Oh, that's nice.
Yeah. Still got the graphics ready in case something happens. Always got to stay ready.
All right. Y'all want to get into a little
mailbag today?
Mailbag?
Can I predict 2?
Yeah, predict.
This would be crazy.
Producer Sam, who you guys have seen in the
past.
past.
Get on screen, Sam, if you want
Hop
to.
on screen. Get
Come on
over. He has a prediction for the number 3 receiver.
Go for it.
Would it be ridiculous if Keenan Allen is in consideration? Would it be ridiculous to throw Stephon Diggs an offer?
Well, that's what someone said.
Literally, someone
Stephon
just said that.
Diggs.
We were just talking about that before
I
we
think
walked in.
it'll come down to money. The Bears don't want to spend big, but if he gets like the Hopkins deal, like $6 million,
Why not?
I would do that.
Coming off an ACL, numbers are about the same.
Yep.
Interesting.
Be interesting.
The rumors are buzzing around Chicago.
What is Stephon Diggs historically as a run blocker?
That's a good question.
We'll get our research team on that one.
That's a good question. Oh, man. Somebody in the chat let us know.
I keep getting – oh, here we go.
Edwards says, we doing the raffle today or no? It depends on you guys. We haven't even gotten somebody that's done a raffle ticket.
Yeah. It wasn't really in the plans. If you guys got wild with the super chats, we could add people afterward, but that wasn't really in the plans today. So
yeah,
if you guys got crazy and we could throw one in, but that wasn't really in the plans today. Kind of more of a chill live.
It is a very chill live. So
Caleb Williams in the chat says, I want Keenan back. You heard the man.
Yeah. All right. I'm going to get this on screen real quick because it is that time. It is that time. Where is...
Oh, Colin's draft crush time?
Oh, no. I was going to wait. I was doing the mailbag. But
okay. It is time for a mailbag.
Honestly, I'm going to kind of call out everybody in the chat here. We got about 800 of you guys in here. Who wants to start off the mailbag? Who wants to start it off? Use hashtag Bears. Obviously, I got to be able to pull it and everything. Whoever has the best question, we'll call you out. You're going to start today's mailbag.
All right. Fire away. Hashtag Bears or Super Chat.
See it on screen. Let's see.
Who's kicking us off? Let's go.
DC Vipers got a good one.
Brandon Thorne, who's an O-line guru, makes the note that Bradbury's college offensive line coach is the Falcons' O-line coach. And they just lost Drew Dalman.
He's a Falcon.
He could be. He could be.
Marty K, it's an interesting one. Ben Johnson, ironically enough, Harry, you posted this on Twitter about our good friend Tim Patrick.
Yeah, so Tim Patrick on his IG story, put a photo of, I only want to play in Detroit. Is that what it said?
There's something along those lines.
So I don't know if he was sending a message to the Lions, like, bring me back, but maybe that's a sign that he's not going to be an option for Chicago. I'm not really sure. Sending Petey that Bradbury thing. All right.
Feel free to look at the chat, and if you see one that you like, we've got a couple good options.
I'll let you pick.
All right. All right.
Soldier Bear 85. That's pretty funny. That is pretty.
It is funny.
Ooh, Jeremy Fowler.
Is there something?
He's retweeting an article about Kirk Cousins.
They should not be allowed to retweet during this time.
Yeah, it's brutal. Kirk Cousins' 1-year anniversary with the Falcons leaves more questions than answers. That's true. Like, if you're Atlanta, like, if he wants out, you're really just going to hold him hostage as your backup?
Maybe.
Like, Kirk's going to be a pro, but it's like, I mean, I get it. You feel great about him as your backup, and it's going to cost you money. Like, cutting him doesn't save you money, but, like, it's also like, I mean, you guys put this, you created this situation. If he wants out of it, like, let him out of it.
Exactly.
I think ultimately he'll be out.
Yeah.
Because there's going to be one team that is out of a quarterback, whether it's the Browns, Giants, or Steelers.
Right.
Like, after this Russ Rodgers thing plays out. And, I mean, if you're Kirk, you're probably looking at it and like, I could go start for that team.
Mm-hmm.
And if you're that team, you're probably going to be pretty desperate. Like, yeah, we'll take Cousins. Now, maybe Atlanta is seeing that, and they're saying, I know Kirk's got a no-trade clause, but they could tell him, like, hey, we're not going to cut you, but this team's offered us a pick. You'll start there. We'll get a 6th-round pick for you, and we'll trade you there.
What's his dead cap hit if he's cut?
Let's see. Kirk Cousins over
So if he's a pre-June 1st, it's 65 dead, they save, or they're negative 25. It's post, it's a dead cap hit of 40 million.
I wonder what a trade is. Trade, it's almost, they save $2.5 million, 37.5 dead. Post June 1 trade, it's even more. Maybe, okay, I kind of get it from Atlanta from this point to not want to cut him right now because that's an extra $25 million. So maybe if I'm Atlanta, I'd tell him, hey, like, let's see this Rodgers-Wilson thing play out, and if the team left behind comes calling, it just helps us financially, and we'll move you, and you can go start for that team. Otherwise, we're keeping you as a backup. I do think Atlanta has the power. It just kind of sucks if you're Cousins because you signed up to be their guy for a while, then they drafted Penix. Now, he also played like shit, so you kind of just get what you get in this league. But I don't feel bad for him because he's making a bunch of money, but, you know, a lot of angles.
A lot of angles. A lot of angles.
Oh, man. All right.
I got one, so.
All right, let's get into this mailbag. Bears just tweeted something. It's nothing. It's a podcast for their website. Okay. Hashtag Bears Super Chat. If you Super Chat, jump to the top of the line. We'll get to as many of you guys as we can. And real quick, Ryan Poles today on Drew Dalman. He was someone who was at the very, very top of our list. Sometimes the rumors heading into free agency are wrong. Sometimes they are right. They appear to be right in this case with Drew Dalman. All right, let's dive into this mailbag here on Bears Now. I'm Harrison Graham. We kick off the Chicago Bears Now mailbag with Michael Lewis saying, what's your reasonable best-case scenario draft pick at 10? What's your reasonable worst-case scenario? Well, if you're watching live, I am going to kind of rank some different scenarios here, so stay tuned for that. I think the worst-case scenario would be, I don't know, like drafting like Will Johnson or something. Not because I don't like Will Johnson, but it's just you don't need a DB. And look, I've said BPA, and if that's a pure BPA, I guess it would be fine, but I think it's BPA except for a DB. It's kind of where I'm at. I don't love the idea of drafting an edge at 10 if it's not Abdul Carter. I don't love the edges with that value. I'd rather trade down. So that'd be kind of on the negative side. Best case, Mason Graham falling to 10, I would probably say is best case. More realistic best case is if you think Armand Membou or Will Campbell, but I think it's a tougher sell with his arm length, but Armand Membou can be like a really good left tackle and he gets to 10. I think that's a pretty good scenario because he can compete with Braxton Jones. Maybe you even view him as a day one starter and you can trade Braxton Jones. So that would certainly be play. Then one more, just kind of a really good but also really safe scenario is Ashton Jeanty. Like if he's there, I feel great about the pick. Edward, odds that we get more than 10 wins. I mean, it would still probably be less than 50-50 only because less than half the league wins 10 or more games. But I do think there's a decent chance. I like the talent and the leadership and experience of the guys they're bringing in. I think there is talent on this roster. I think this coaching staff should be much better. The crossover divisions are the AFC North and the NFC East. Those are two tough divisions that you're going to play on your schedule this year. The division you play in is tough. So it's going to be a battle every week. It's not going to be an easy week-to-week schedule. More than likely, sometimes schedule looks hard and it's not as hard as we think. Sometimes the opposite is true, like last year. But we'll have to wait and see. I definitely think it's a possibility, but they got to prove it to us. Grade the Bears moves. I almost combined Bears and moves into one word. So far in free agency, obviously it was a busy day one, pretty quiet since. But I like them, especially if you factor in the trades. I'll probably go A-, A, B, C, D, or F. Let us know how you think they've done. Cornelius Pryor, let's extend Braxton Jones, get him cheap. I'm not extending Braxton Jones recovering from a major leg surgery. Way too risky. I get on the premise of saying, well, average to above average offensive linemen in free agency are getting huge money. If you could get them at like 15 a year, just do it. I get it to an extent, but you could also just draft one this year or next year who's more talented, and you have him on a rookie contract. So I'm not against it at some point if he plays this year and is healthy and plays pretty well. But right now, I'm not extending Braxton Jones. I think ideally, and this is sorry to say for Braxton, Darnell Wright's the guy you extend after this season if he takes a jump, and then you have a left tackle on a rookie contract because he's affordable. Edward, Tyler Scott, wide receiver 3. Keenan is too old and slow. Well, just different players, right? I liked Tyler Scott a lot coming into last year. I thought he would be like a wide receiver 4 that would get, 15 to 20 snaps per game. Didn't play at all, basically. I don't know what happened. I don't know if Shane Waldron wasn't a fan. I don't know if he had a rough offseason. I remember early on in training camp, he seemed to be making plays every day, and then it just didn't happen. He was behind DeAndre Carter. Then he got behind Colin Johnson. It was weird. I think wide receiver 3, that's a stretch of a projection. Now, could he have a bigger role? Could Ben Johnson have a better plan for him? Yeah. I still think there's a scenario where he's a interesting gadget guy, wide receiver 4, that can hit some big plays for you on occasion, but we got to see it. I mean, he's a complete unknown at this point in time. Subscribe to Bears Now. We answer your mailbag questions every time we go live, so turn on those notifications as well after you hit that subscribe button. Off-season rolling along. We're here every single day for you guys with content, so don't miss out. Subscribe, turn on the noties. Join us every single day. Anthony Harris, as my phone is bugging out here. What do you think of a small trade down in drafting Imanwari? I think he's perfect for our Brisker issue. I'm a big fan of the player. How far are you trading down? Like, are you taking him in the top 15? Are you trading down to the 20s? I saw a mock where he goes 13. As much as I like him, I don't know if I would take him that high, at least right now. But, man, he's an athletic freak, and Dennis Allen could use him in a lot of different ways. I almost would like him more in like a trade back into round 1 scenario, like if he falls to the mid-late 20s and take him there. But I think like top 15 might be a little too high for what I'm looking for right now. Appreciate the super chat, though. Carl says, do you think the Bears might make a trade for Trey Hendrickson after the draft? I just don't think they're going to have the money. Now, they could structure it where the cap hit this year is lower, especially if they extend him. But you got to remember, it's a cash flow issue, too. To keep the cap hit low in year 1, you're going to have to give him a huge signing bonus. They've already paid a lot of money here. Like, Jonah Jackson's going to make $17 million in cash this year. Joe Thuney's making a lot of money. They gave Dayo Odeyingbo, I think, a $14 million signing bonus. So they got to pay their draft class. I don't think Trey Hendrickson's in the plans at this point. I think once they signed both Odeyingbo and Grady Jarrett, to me that was like that money could have gone to Trey Hendrickson, but they added 2 guys instead of trading big capital and getting Hendrickson. And the latest report suggests that there's teams comfortable giving Hendrickson a deal, but the Bengals are asking for a first-round pick and more, apparently. Like, they're just not going to get that because he's 30 years old, and the team trading for him has to pay him north of $30 million per year. Like, something's got to give. I don't think the Bears are one of those teams. All right, we got this Bears Nike T-shirt on sale. 45% off, limited time only, chatsports.com/BearsT. Pick one up today. It's $29.99. Usually it's $54.99. It's an awesome deal. Check it out. Marty K, we need a linebacker. Thoughts? Yeah, they need to add somebody. You can kind of always find just cheap linebackers that can just play a role of a part-time starter or a high-end backup. I think they'll let that market cheapen out and sign somebody. Maybe they view Ogbongbemiga that. I would doubt it. He's more of a fourth linebacker. They need a third guy. I'm a little surprised they did not want Jack Sanborn back, but must have been a scheme thing with Dennis Allen. I'm not sure. They could add someone in the draft. So they'll have different avenues. Obviously, they got their 2 primary guys in T.J. Edwards and Tremaine Edmonds, but you definitely need another piece there. Going to need some depth. DC Viper, who do you think has the better year, DJ, Rome, or Kmet? Well, if you're talking raw stats, I'd probably order it like that. I wouldn't mind, though, if Rome by the end of the year is like, hey, he's probably our wide receiver 1. I'd be okay with that. But I do think all of their numbers will be higher, right? Like, I'm not as concerned about what the pecking order, but, like, Kmet's got to be more of a factor. Rome needs a higher target share. DJ's got to get you more explosive plays like he did 2 years ago. So that's more of what I'm looking for than like, oh, who's getting the 1,200 yards? Who's doing this? Like, I don't really care who it is. I just want it to be a more efficient passing offense. Who's your favorite draft sleeper for the Bears this year? Who's a sleeper? And sleeper, 3rd, 4th, 5th round, someone we're not talking about a bunch. Let us know who a sleeper for you is. Saquon's Barkley. Would Lockett be better for Rome's growth than Kupp and Keenan? I think all those guys would have value now. Obviously, Keenan was already here, so, would it be more beneficial for a different vet voice to learn something new? Perhaps. But I don't necessarily think better or worse. I think all 3 of those guys would bring value on the field and in a mentor role. Bears goated, do you think Dayo can be a more athletic DeMarcus Walker because he's younger and does move around the line? Yeah, I think it's pretty clear what they did. They cut Walker, and they went with a guy that they think is a better scheme fit and still has a much higher ceiling. Walker's 30. He's plateaued as a player. He kind of is what he is. Dayo's 25. Arrow could still be pointing up. He's longer. He's more athletic. He's a little more versatile. Obviously, you paid more. Walker was going to make $6 million. You paid him $16 a year, so it's the bigger investment. But they might be looking at it as, well, we paid Dayo $10 million because we cut Walker to save $6. So that might be the way they view it. Michael Walsh, what about Michael Mayer? Still open to it. If the Raiders want the 5th-round pick, I'd do it. You don't have a 4th, and that might be what they want. You don't have a 4th next year either, so you might just be SOL if that's the price tag. I would not trade 72. It's a little too high. If he was 1 year into his career, I probably would, but 2, you only got 2 years left on that rookie deal. I'm not trading a day 2 pick for that. But if they take 5th, I'd even throw one of your 7ths in there for Michael Mayer. I mean, this guy went 35th a couple years ago, showed good signs as a rookie. They drafted Brock Bowers. Things got a little weird last year. Like, Notre Dame guy, near Chicago area. I'd be pretty interested if he was truly available. Be sure to give me a follow on social media at HGramNFL on Twitter and on Instagram. That is where you can find me. I caught up on a bunch of DMs finally on Instagram, so I'll be ready to rock and roll, and hopefully I won't get too log jammed again. But at HGramNFL is where you can find me if you got more questions and want to talk some ball. Okay, who's your favorite draft sleeper?
Pew, pew, pew.
The
chat was cracking me up, by the way, during that segment. Apparently we've got like the entire Chicago Bears in the chat. I saw Ben Johnson, Caleb Williams, DJ Moore. There's an Eric Bieniemy
there's Eric
count out. There is a bunch of y'all in here. Drew Dalman.
Ben Skoranek back to the Steelers. So they're re-signing him and Scotty Miller today.
Interesting. Xavier Watts from Cameron. Devin Neal from Brandon. Bieniemy saying, let's draft Jeanty. Dante Thornton from Ben Johnson. That might mean something. Jared Wilson, Oronde Gadsden.
I wonder where Thornton gets drafted. Those Tennessee receivers always make me a little wary, but... as the ceiling lights turn back on. We're back, baby.
We're back, baby.
Woo! But if it's day 3, I'd be in. I wouldn't Jalen Hyatt him in the 3rd round, though. That hasn't worked out. That has not worked out. I'll never forget that clip of the Cowboys receiver coach telling Jalen Hyatt he can't run routes. And Hyatt was like, oh, really? And he ran a couple good-looking routes, but just on air, and he's done nothing in the league.
You showed him, Jalen.
The DK trade is official. The Steelers just tweeted it.
Yep. Pretty crazy.
Did we know it was for a 2 and a 7th?
Yeah, there was a late-round pick swap that never got confirmed.
Okay. The Steelers just tweeted it. It's
so
DK and a 6th from Seattle for a 2nd and a 7th.
Yep.
So you always wonder, it's like, how much was a 6th and a 7th swap in a DK trade discussed? It's like, what are we doing here?
Yeah.
Did you think that was good value for Seattle?
So ironically, we talked about this during the bullpen, and you and Sperry both asked our Steelers host, ironically, hey, what would be a good trade or what would get a trade done for DK hypothetically? And I ultimately came down to, like, they're going to try to get a first, which they tried to, and ultimately a 2nd-round pick would get it done. And I was right. And I think you obviously try to shoot for the stars. No one was going for it, which, again, they shot for a 1st and a 3rd, which was never happening. So to get a 2nd, again, you would have liked to get maybe a better 2nd, a.k.a. maybe like New England's, but you got a 2nd-round pick. You can maybe turn that into something. There's a lot of value in the 2nd round in this draft.
It seems like teams now, unless it's like Tyreek Hill when he got traded, or like if Jetta, unless you're like a bona fide top 5 guy, you're not getting a 1 for receivers anymore because you have to trade a 1 and then you have to pay them.
Yeah.
30-something.
That's the other part, too.
This is like the Hendrickson thing. It's like, okay, if it's Myles Garrett or Micah, who's 25, yeah, you're going to give a trade starting with a 1 plus pay him. But, like, as good as Hendrickson is, he's 30. It's not the best run defender. You're going to trade a 1 plus more and give him 30? I don't think it's going to happen, which is why Cincinnati is kind of just hanging out.
I would not have wanted to pay DK Metcalf $30 million.
Yeah, like, to me, Trey Hendrickson is like the DK Metcalf of edge rushers. Like, he's really good, but he's a notch below, like, the top guys.
I would say Hendrickson's better at his position than DK is at his.
I would agree, but he's also a couple years older.
Which is true.
So I think when you add it all up, it's probably pretty similar.
Right. Yeah. No, I'd agree. Ultimately, like I said, the only thing that kind of just got me frustrated was the timing of it because, again, it would have made more sense for them to do it next offseason, but clearly that was never going to be the case, especially after DK requested the trade. So who knows? Yeah. Let's see. Any more low prospects in here? I saw Jared Wilson.
Dayo Odeyingbo said this, quote, I asked what the vision for the team was. From top to bottom, everyone expressed the same thing. The goal is to bring the Lombardi to the city. I would hope that's the goal. That's not the goal. You should sell the team. Sell the team, baby.
Yeah, all these statements are getting put out and everything. Oh, Seattle just tweeted out, speaking of DK Metcalf. Ooh, Adoree Jackson signing with the Eagles from Jordan Schultz.
Oh, okay.
There we go. They tweeted out the DK Metcalf, like the draft clip of him and Pete Carroll, like taking off their shirts and shaking hands or whatever.
Oh.
Great clip.
That was a good clip. Dude, he is one of the, like, most physically imposed. Did you see the thing going around Twitter? It was one of those photos of DK just looking like a unit, and someone did, like, a fake quote back and forth of him and George Pickens, and it was like, George Pickens, I'm wearing 14.
Yeah, I saw that.
DK goes, I'm wearing 14. George Pickens, you're wearing 14.
Yeah.
Dude, he is a unit.
He is. My reaction, if you remember, was similar to Mina Kimes when Seattle took DK. Do you remember her reaction whenever Seattle took him?
No, but I know she's a Seattle sports
Yeah,
fan.
so they traded up back into the last pick of the second round. They took him. She went ballistic on NFL Live. Like, I mean, no professionalism or
like in a good way?
In a good way, yes.
Like she liked the pick?
Like, yeah, just was, I love it. Like, I mean, like, deep voice and everything. If y'all haven't seen it, it's a good clip. But, yeah, it's crazy. I'm getting nostalgic, all right? I'm sorry. I know we're talking Bears stuff.
Now it's
but
Sam Darnold and JSN,
God.
baby.
Our Seahawks host was like, yes, Sam Darnold's the best signing. I was just like,
how
we'll
nervous are you going to be
oh,
if he, like, has a bad game in week 1? Like, are you going to be like, oh, God?
no, because you're that much closer to getting out of purgatory. So,
Well,
like,
but I mean, like, but you signed this guy to maybe not be, like, the next 10 years, but, like,
no, you signed
you
him.
signed him to be the guy.
So he's 2 years and everything. Here's the thing. So you got him at a cheaper rate at a 1 year, after a 1
Yeah,
year.
it's
kind
not
of,
catastrophic
No.
if it doesn't work, but I do think it's like, I don't know, if you're 1-4 out of the shoot and he's struggling, you're like, oh, shit.
to be honest, like, the way I look at it is, if you want to return back to a Super Bowl, maybe I'll be wrong. I don't know if Sam Darnold gets you there.
Yeah, probably not.
So if Sam Darnold
But you're
stinks,
still rooting for him to be
no,
good.
100%. You're rooting for the best possible scenario. But like if it stinks, it's like, all right, you turn your mode. Like you traded away DK Metcalf. Tyler Lockett's gone. Like maybe it is time to kind of reset things.
I guess what you're saying is worst case scenario, he's a disaster and you're in position to draft a quarterback.
Exactly.
I get that.
Exactly. Like obviously I'm rooting for Sam to do better, but like at the same time, like I'm not gonna sit here and act like if he sucks, like it's the sky's falling.
Yeah, yeah.
It's not, seriously, it's not the Kirk Cousins deal. It isn't. They
Yeah.
can get out of it after year 2 and potentially out of year 1 if it's like really bad.
Yeah.
But I hope it works out. I hope it works well. I trust their evaluation, but we'll see. I mean, because to
me, they're one of the more interesting teams
yeah.
for next year. Because I feel like they could kind of be similar to what they've been record-wise, like compete for a wild card, and then, another offseason, maybe they're like competing for that division the next year.
Yeah.
Or they could win like 5 games.
They could.
So
It's very high variance. There were, within a couple games, we were doing the Bears Seahawks
Sam
game.
Darnold, ironically, kind of knocked him out of the playoffs.
It did.
With that crazy play.
God, the amount of times I've seen that throw to Justin Jefferson recirculate on the timeline, be like, this is the play that got him to Seattle. It's nuts.
That's your quarterback.
It is. It's my guy. I was actually a Sam Darnold guy when he came out of USC.
I liked him too. He was my favorite QB in that draft.
Same. And now, ironically, he's here.
I liked him better than Josh Rosen, and while it looked like they both were bust early, I was eventually right. No matter what happens, he is better than Josh Rosen.
That is very true.
Josh Rosen's not going to have a 35-touchdown season.
No, he will not. He is currently...
Unless he goes to the CFL.
I'm about to say. I'm pretty sure he's selling insurance at this point.
Yeah, didn't a LinkedIn circulate, and he's like a real estate agent or something, or an insurance salesman? Which I'm also like, dude, you're a first-round pick. Why are you selling insurance?
What up, dude?
Negative.
No. What's his face? Moustakis took it somewhere. Anyways.
Josh Rosen should have enough money where he's not having to sell
No.
insurance. Now maybe he's just bored.
That was one of his criticisms when he was coming out. Was like, how committed is he to football given his kind of upbringing? Which again, on its surface, it's kind of a ridiculous thing, but at the same time, like, you really have to be committed into the daily grind of the NFL, or else you're not going to survive. I don't care how talented you are. So,
You got a draft crush for us?
I do. Well, there's a super chat that came in, but I guess since I'm loading that, make it an official.
Oh, yes. Danny Stutzman. We took him in our fan-led live mock yesterday. The linebacker out of Oklahoma.
Yeah, and we kind of broke him down yesterday, so I'll kind of just be quick in re-hitting these points.
Oh, DK will wear number 4. Pickens keeps 14.
Well, so much for that theory, Twitter. No, I mean, listen, I think Stutzman, it depends on the linebacker that you want if you're the Chicago Bears. And the way I kind of looked at it was, okay, they're not happy with Edmonds' play. You need kind of that
It's kind of a make-or-break year for him.
It is.
If he doesn't elevate, he's probably gone.
And if you really value that position, that's why I picked Demetrius Knight for day 2, which, again, I don't think the Bears would go that route. But if they did, that's the guy I would pick. If you're looking for a more day 3 option to replace Edmonds, this is the guy that I think is the best chance of doing that at that range. He's really athletic profile, really good run defender, smart instincts, has a nose for the football, especially in the run game. The only thing is his coverage has not been great, especially the last 2 years. His first year at Oklahoma, he had, like, I'll pull up his stats here in a second. I mean, he was impressive. But since then, he's just not been able to return to form. But teammates rave about his leadership, his
He was a captain, I think.
motor, everything. He's just your kind of throwback, old school, big linebacker. I think they kind of undershot him on this player bio. I think he's closer to like 6'4", 250. I mean,
See what he measured at the combine.
He's an imposing dude.
Let's see.
Combine profile.
6'3", maybe he slimmed down for the combine.
Maybe he did.
Some guys do that to try and test better.
He ran a
tested
4.5
well.
40.
4.52, that's a good time.
Yeah, I think he's the athlete that, again, like, he's not a perfect prospect by any means, but if you're taking a shot on day 3 to potentially look for Edmonds' replacement, I think he's a really, really talented linebacker. And he's got, like, this weird way he kind of, like, slips and slides in run defense to get to that, next level, to get to the ball carrier. Like, I think day 1 right away, if you're asking him to stop the run, he's going to be one of the better linebackers from this class that can do that. So, yeah, hopefully he can, improve as a pass coverage linebacker. But, yeah, he's my day 3 target for linebacker.
Yeah, and I think linebacker has to enter the fray here for the Bears. They've got 2. I mean, even if you don't love Edmonds, like, he's a starter. Like, he's one of your top 2 for this year. But you need depth. And, like, who's that third guy in 4-3 base sets? I don't think that guy's on the roster. So it's either someone like this in the draft. It's a guy you pick up, in a second, third wave of free agency. They're going to have to find somebody somewhere. I don't think it's Noah Sewell. So, yeah, I think finding somebody, early day 3 of the draft could be a guy to come and compete for, a day 1, number 3 linebacker role. I think that's going to be an opportunity for somebody that lands here. So, all right, the Sky Warrior, not a Bears fan. I'm a diehard Bengals fan.
Yep.
But I'm on 4 verts. Appreciate you. Spread the word. Besides the point, Super Bowl, Bengals, Bears, Chicago, Worth Hype, Super Bowl 60. That'd be sick, man. Super Bowl 60, Bears, Bengals. Sign me up.
Yeah.
Bears versus anyone, sign me up. But Bears,
Yeah,
Bengals, that'd be fun.
Yeah. Like how Nick Wright predicted Chiefs-Bears before the season.
Mm-hmm.
Like, that would be an electric Super Bowl. Like, I love kind of versions of, like, Caleb, again, no one's saying he's Mahomes, but in terms of his archetype, he is a lesser version of Patrick. And just the way he's built, his play style, all of that.
Mm-hmm.
that could be interesting. But Bengals with Joe Burrow, Bears. I mean, that'd be something.
Is it crazy to say? This is probably crazy to say. I don't even think I believe this right now. But is it crazy to say? How about this? Could you make the argument that the Bears have a better path to make the Super Bowl this year than the Bengals? Just given the Bengals may have the worst defense in the league, one of the worst, and they might lose their best player on defense. They play in a brutal division. I think the path getting through the AFC right now, I mean, think about it. Matt Stafford and the Rams were a player or two away from probably making the Super Bowl if they beat the Eagles. That seems like a more, at least, plausible path. And again, these are super low percentages because only 2 teams make it. I'm just saying, could you make the argument that the Bears' path to making it is easier than the Bengals? Now, I'd probably still bet on the Bengals over it because they have Burrow, but you get the point I'm making.
Right. Agreed. No, I think the NFC right now, because of the level of quarterbacks, and again, Burrow, you could argue on any given day might be number 2, and hell, I mean, he's outplayed Mahomes in a half in an AFC Championship game. So, like, he's at his absolute best, can be at that level. But, I mean, you just look at the other quarterbacks in the conference. Obviously, you have Mahomes, Burrow, Lamar, Allen, Herbert. You've got C.J. Stroud, if the Texans ever learn to fix their blocking scheme. I mean, there's a lot of talented dudes, and then you got the next level also, and it's just like...
Now, I think the NFC is clearly improving. I mean, Washington seems like they're going to be here to stay. Philly's not going anywhere.
Hurts,
The Rams are still viable.
Stafford.
You know, we'll see on the 49ers. I still think the Lions are in their window. Their biggest question is the coaching. How does that impact, losing both their coordinators? What is Minnesota? I think that's a question mark. The Packers, that's a question mark. Like, I think there is a lot of depth in the NFC. I don't think the top of the NFC, though, is as good as the top of the AFC. So we were talking about, like, making a playoff run. Like, a Bears having to beat insert team in the divisional round is probably an easier game than the Bengals having to beat the Ravens or the Bills or the Chiefs, because those are kind of the teams right now, and they're not probably going anywhere.
And then the Sky Warrior also follows up with this. He says the NFC is open. The Bears just have to get the 1 seed to get to I'm assuming SoFi. Bengals and Bears, stay tuned. Super Bowl 60. That defense against that offense. Woo.
We'll see. You're going a little loftier than me. All they got to do is get the 1 seed, dude. That's all they got to do.
Yeah.
Just win like 14 games, get the 1 seed.
Yeah.
Good to go.
Yeah.
They've won 15 games the last 3 years combined. Now, I think on paper they're much better, but we've been here before.
To act like, again, a team's hasn't gone from last to first in their division.
Washington did it last year, and I think the Bears have more talent on their roster, or at least comparable talent than what Washington had.
Right. It's interesting.
It happens. It's possible.
I will say, we're not doing anything specific with the raffle items today. Anthony Harrison, a 10 during that mailbag segment. Somebody wants to send in another 10. Like, we'll think about it, right?
How about this?
Think about it.
Well, how about this? Let's shelf the raffle, but how about this? It's we're at $37 in super chats. If we get to $100, this is I'm going super discount.
Okay.
If we get to $100, I'll do a boot.
Ooh,
that's 90% off.
That is a.
If we get
hell
to
of a
$100, I'll knock out a boot.
Okay.
How about that?
Okay. You can maybe make it a race if you guys make it interesting. I'm down to drink, but you guys got to show me y'all want it.
By the way, I think we can officially – there will always be a few, and I'm not saying it's never going to be brought up. But from what I can tell in the chat, even mostly on Twitter, again, there's a few. I think the Caleb Justin bitterness is mostly over with. But you know what the new one is? Whether or not to draft Ashton Jeanty.
Oh,
Bears fans always have a civil war going on, and it is currently – whether or not to draft Ashton Jeanty.
Oh, man.
Am I reading the pulse right, guys? I think I'm on it. I think that's the debate.
Yeah.
There's an Ashton Jeanty in the chat.
I mean, here's my thing. If you're not on the draft Jeanty train, which again, nothing wrong with that, you need to have another answer. In other words, what other prospects should the Bears target? Because again, if you're anti-Jeanty, that's fine. What's the alternative?
I think there's going to be multiple good options. Which
there are, but I'm just curious to know what everybody else, like the people who don't.
Playboy says Jeanty or Warren at 10. That is the second debate right now too. That's been going around Twitter. I can't believe the Bears fans want to draft a tight end at 10. And I'm like, so you're telling me you wouldn't, like, knowing what we know about Brock Bowers, like, he probably would have gone top 5.
Yeah.
Where would Brock Bowers go in this draft?
Oh.
4, 5?
I mean, he would not get to the Bears.
I don't think Warren's that far off. I think Bowers is a better prospect, but I think it's pretty close.
It's fair. I didn't see Bowers take some Wildcat snaps like Warren did.
Well, they did run some jet sweeps with him, which is diabolical. Yeah. He was doing that as a freshman.
I will say, Jeanty in the chat says no alternative to Cullen. I might have to be on the Jeanty train. I might have to buy in. I'm on the fence. Like I'm open to all possibilities.
I'm on the train. I'm not only on the Jeanty train, but I'm on the train. I am on the train. Anthony Harris in the chat.
That's funny. Okay.
Ben Johnson says Warren is not a tight end. He's everything. Coach, that's right. Get creative with him. Let's go.
That's true. He is a weapon, as they say.
He's a weapon.
Harris.
I think this question changed.
Oh,
it's not
shoot.
the super chat.
Why does I hate that does that? Like, literally, as I'm pressing it, it switches it to the last, basically, super chat of the same amount. Sorry about that.
So what Anthony asked was bait for a trade up on Jeanty. I want Hampton. So what do you mean bait? Like,
there we go.
Try to convince people who are taking them and then trade down? Like, get someone else to trade up for them?
Jesus. I hate that.
Could do that. I'm a Hampton guy, too.
Well.
I'm a Hampton guy. I think he's a clear RB2 in this draft.
Warren would be an elite weapon. Wrong answer, Anthony. That's funny. Dude, the amount of people we have watching the stream that
have changed their. Well, how many characters do we have?
I mean, seriously,
Ben Johnson,
Jeanty,
Eric Bieniemy, Ashton Jeanty, DJ Moore earlier. I think
Caleb Williams.
I think a lot of them are just it's the same 4 or 5 people and they're just rotating. But
yeah,
pretty funny. Edge from Georgia. Micah Williams at 10 is too rich for me.
Yeah,
I've come to that determination.
That's fair.
I really like him, but I would rather trade down.
Makes a lot of sense.
All right, speaking of which, let's talk a little NFL draft as I go through my top 10 scenarios of what the Bears should do with the number 10 pick. This is subject to change. This is not set in stone, but this is where I'm at here on March 13th. Dennis, we will get to your super chat after this segment and anybody else. So that's coming up next year on Chicago Bears Now. Let's get to it. On today's episode of Chicago Bears Now, I rank the Bears' options of what they could do with the number 10 pick in the NFL draft. Ryan Poles, Ben Johnson, they said that the entire board is open based on what they've done in free agency and on the trade market. They got a lot of tape to watch, as they said. So I will go through my scenarios of what I think they should do. And again, subject to change between now and the NFL draft. Okay. I think these 3 players are locks to be gone in the first 9 picks before the Bears pick at 10. I don't know who will take them. I don't know where they'll go. But Travis Hunter, Abdul Carter, Cam Ward will all go in the top 9 picks and probably in the top 5. So that's a third of the picks before the Bears pick gone. Okay, so you know that. After that, I don't think I could have even put a 4th player in there that is a lock to be gone. I think Shedeur Sanders will be gone. I think Mason Graham will probably be gone. But with smaller measurables, maybe he slides a little bit. So draft is kind of wide open. To be clear, if you are a Bears fan, you want as many quarterbacks to go. before the Bears pick at number 10, because obviously Chicago will not be drafting a quarterback. All right, before we get to my scenarios and how I rank them, should the Bears go best player available at number 10, just regardless? Big board, boom, best player, you take them. Type Y for yes, type in for no. They're certainly in position to do that if they want to. Okay, let's rank my options of what to do at number 10. To me, if Mason Graham slides to 10, oh, his arms are a little shorter. Oh, he was a little light at the combine. We kind of found out he slimmed up because he was going to work out. Then he bruised his heel, so he decided not to work out. He played at 315 last year. I'm not worried about his playing weight. If he is available at 10, sprint to the podium. And I like a lot of other players we're going to talk about here. But to me, this is the fourth-ish best player in this draft, maybe even third. I probably would say third. I'd probably go Travis Hunter 1, Abdul Carter 2, Mason Graham 3. If he's there at 10, I just think the value's too good. You could still use a defensive tackle, certainly, as well. I'd be sprinting to the podium if he's available. All right, I got a 2A, 2B situation. Let's start with 2A. Draft Armand Membou. He's got an asterisk there. And the asterisk is this. If the Bears believe that Armand Membou, the offensive lineman out of Missouri, who has excellent tape, has 2 years starting at right tackle, 1 year starting at right guard, he's got positional versatility, at least on the right side. If they believe, after a great combine as well, that he can be a long-term answer at left tackle, that he could compete with Braxton Jones in the short term and long-term be an answer at left tackle, to me, he's the number 2 guy here. If not, he's probably a couple spots further down the list. If they're like, we don't like him at left tackle, okay, I'd still be interested in him, but there's not really a spot for him to play this year. And if right tackle's his best position, well, I think Darnell Wright's your answer long-term there. So he'd probably be a few spots down, and you'd probably play him at guard down the road. Okay, 2B, Ashton Jeanty. Again, if they think he could be a left tackle, I'd go Membou 2, Jeanty 3. If they don't think he'd be a left tackle, or if there's a question mark in their mind, I'd go Jeanty 2 and then Membou further down the list. Ashton Jeanty is a terrific prospect. Like, I think people are getting draft fatigue on him for whatever reason. I think he's outstanding. I'm not saying he's Saquon, but I think he's close to a Bijan Robinson. Not necessarily like same exact skill set, but in terms of caliber of prospect. I've talked about the contact balance. It's some of the best I've ever seen. 5'8.5", he's big enough. I think he uses that to his advantage. He's 211 pounds at that height, by the way. Tree trunks of legs. To me, he's like a more juiced up Ray Rice. That's kind of what I see. I've seen the other comp I've seen is a more juiced up Maurice Jones-Drew. I think those are both good ones. And by the way, those are 2 great players. They were good backs in this league for a long time. So if his floor is kind of what they brought to the table, like that's a pretty good pick. This is a high floor, high ceiling pick. I think at worst, he's a good pro. At best, he's top 3, top 5 running back in this league at some point in his career. I think he can be a better pass catcher in the pros than he was last year because they just ran him so much. They limited his, involvement in the passing game. The year prior, I think he had like 500 receiving yards, so he's certainly capable of that. We know Ben Johnson wants to pair someone with DeAndre Swift. I think if there's betting odds, he would be the favorite to be the Bears pick at number 10. Okay, number 4, because 2A, 2B, 2, 3. Draft Will Campbell, another asterisk here. Because there's questions with some of these high offensive linemen. Can they play tackle? Can they play guard? I'm less confident Will Campbell can play left tackle or really tackle at all. It's not just the arm length being under 33 inches. There are exceptions to that. The kid in Indy, Bernard Raymond, he's 32 and 6'8", I think. Will Campbell's 32 and 5'8". Rashawn Slater is like right at 33, which is on the low end for a left tackle. But it's the wingspan too. Willie Lampkin, the North Carolina guard center, is 5'10", 275. He has a longer wingspan than Will Campbell. So it's not just the arm length, it's the wingspan. Can he get by at tackle because he's such a freak athlete and his footwork is that good? I think it's possible. But to me, like if I'm viewing this from a scout's perspective, that's a tough sell. I've said I think he can be a really good guard. I think he could be an awesome center. Maybe you'd feel good about him at right tackle. That's not what the Bears need, though. Would I still like the pick at 10? Yeah. But there may not be a spot for him this year, and long term you may have to play him at guard. I just like other guys better. That's why I have him at 4. He's not necessarily a worse prospect than Armand Membou, but Membou has more measurables, I think, which gives him an opportunity to play left tackle. Again, if the Bears don't view him that way, probably have him lower, maybe even lower than Will Campbell, but that's where I sit with him. Pick an offensive lineman. Who would you rather draft at number 10? It's like AM for Armand Membou, WC for Will Campbell. I think Campbell's a slightly better overall prospect. I think his tape's a little better, but I think Membou potentially gives you more versatility and the ability to play tackle, especially on the left side. Even though Campbell's played that in college, I think it's going to be tougher for him to do it in the pros. Okay, number 5, draft Tyler Warren, Penn State tight end. Listen, this guy's rising for me. I think the gap between him and Jeanty from a skill player perspective is not that wide. If you took him over a Will Campbell because you had issues with his arm length, again, the asterisk there, if you don't think he can play left tackle, slide him down even more. I'd have no problem with that. I would take Jeanty over him. That's why I have Jeanty ahead of him. But Tyler Warren is rising up my list. He was not even somewhat of an option for me a month, 2 months ago, but Detroit runs a lot of 12 personnel. Tyler Warren, when I compare him to Brock Bowers from a year ago, Brock Bowers, I think, went 13th in the draft last year. I don't think the gap from a prospect standpoint between Brock Bowers and Tyler Warren, who had a monster year for Penn State last year, you see the versatility. They used a Wildcat package with him. You think about a creative mind like Ben Johnson, what he could do with this guy. I really, it gets me pretty excited, man. He can block. He can run routes. You can line him up in the backfield. The Lions' offense last year was 3rd in the NFL in 12 personnel, a.k.a. 2 tight end sets, over 32% of their offensive snaps. Pair him with Cole Kmet. I like Cole Kmet a lot. I don't think you can get that creative with him, though. He's kind of just a solid all-around tight end. Tyler Warren, you can do some different things with. And also, Tyler Warren can take some of the workload off Kmet. And honestly, long-term, Warren becomes your top guy. Kmet, you probably phase him out if you went this route 2-3 years down the road. So I'm open to this. If you told me today, crystal ball came in, hey, they're going to take Tyler Warren, I'd be happy with it. Again, not my top option, but he's much more on my radar and under consideration than he was even just a few weeks ago. All right, a lot more scenarios to come. We just went through 5. I've got 5 more. Prize Picks, daily fantasy, made easy. 10 million users and counting playing Prize Picks in North America. You should be one of them. If Prize Picks is available in your state, which they're available in more than 30 states, get signed up. It's the best daily fantasy sports app out there, and it's just simple. A lot of these, sports and different things, these games you can play, it's so complicated. Prize Picks, it's simple. You set lineups of 2 or more players on 2 or more different teams, regardless of sport, and you pick more or less on the stats available. X player to score 22.5 points. You think he's going to score more or less, you just select it. Multiple choice, 2 options. Very easy. Those are always the easiest tests in school, right? Give me a few options, I'll select an answer. If I have to think of the answer to choose, I'm probably going to get it wrong. More or less, 50-50 chance, boom, you are good to go. I got a 2-player lineup going here with Austin Reeves, more on his points, rebounds, assists. I got Kobe White, more on his points. He's been pretty good. Come back and check if I got this one right. $5 to win 15. Certain lineups you can win up to 1,000 times your entry. It's fun. It's easy. Get in on all the action, especially in basketball as things are heating up on the court. PrizePicks.com/CLNS. And if you're a first-time customer and use the code CLNS when you sign up, you're going to get a $50 bonus once you play for just $5. Check out PrizePicks today. Link is in the comments and description of this video. Okay, number 6, trade down. If all 5 of those guys on the left side of the screen are gone, I would trade down. And by the way, that could happen. I mentioned the 3 guys, Cam Ward, Abdul Carter, and Travis Hunter. Well, that's 3 out of 9, right? If those 5 guys, which are right here, Mason Graham, Armand Membou, Ashton, Jeanty, Will Campbell, Tyler Warner are also gone. There's 6 more picks, so 3 plus 5. It could happen. I would guess one of these guys gets there, but if not, I'm trading down. I don't love the next batch of players at 10. We'll get to a couple guys. We'll talk about that if you do have to stay at 10, that you could go that route. But I think in this scenario where those 8 players are off the board, obviously you wouldn't draft Cam Ward, but just taking up a slot, I would try to trade down. Again, takes 2 to tango, can't force it, but if you could find a trade, even if you're not getting great value, if you get okay value, I'd probably do that to get the extra draft capital. Okay, number 7, draft an edge. Don't love it. It is a premium position. There are players in this draft I do like. After Abdul Carter, I don't love the edge draft. I actually do really like Mike Green. I just don't know if he's a fit for the Bears. He's 8th percentile on arm length. That would go against everything Dennis Allen has ever thought in his edge rushers. They just signed Dayo Odeyingbo. He's the opposite of Mike Green, right? Now, maybe they would view it like, okay, he gives us a different look. We think he's that talented. We'll make it work. Okay. But that's typically against what his defenses have had. Shamar Stewart, athletic freak, production not there. Mykel Williams, some production, pretty athletic, didn't test quite as well as I thought. I like him more in a trade down. I like Shamar Stewart more in a trade down. So again, like, if you trade down for one of these guys, cool. Don't love it at 10, but sometimes you get stuck and you have to make a pick. So maybe drafting an edge could happen. Okay. We're not going anywhere. Videos every single day here on Chicago Bears Now. At least 2 videos per day. Live shows twice a week. More if there's breaking news. We got you guys covered. Hit that sub button. We'll have a new mock draft out soon as well. So stay tuned for that. These are the guys, by the way, if you do trade down. I mentioned Mike Green, James Pierce Jr., really talented guy. Not sure what the off-field stuff is there. Stewart and Williams, talented, but production wasn't always there. Donovan Ezeraku is rising, but he's kind of more in the Mike Green mold. I think he's probably more of a 3-4 edge. Would the Bears view him as a 4-3? I'm not sure, but those would be some of the guys I would consider. Okay, number 8. Draft Tataroa McMillan. I'll be honest, from a player standpoint, I like McMillan more than any of the edges other than Abdul Carter, obviously. But I'll be a little realistic. Like, as much as I've said BPA, and I'm still BPA. If they took McMillan, I'd sign up for it. I just don't love going receiver in round 1 here. You did that last year. You've paid DJ Moore a lot of money. You have Cole Kmet. Like, you don't need to take Tet McMillan. Like, to me, if you took Tet McMillan, DJ Moore is probably off this team in 12 months. That would be my guess. Now, he's a freak. He's fluid at 6'4", 6'5". He has incredible ball skills. I think you could get a lot out of the guy. Like, I think he's a great player. I just think it's so low on the list of needs to draft a high-end receiver. You need a receiver, just not a high-end guy, that it would be pretty low on my list, but he's talented as hell. I do think he's probably one of the 10 best players in this draft. Okay, number 9, trade up for Abdul Carter. The reason I have it lower is I just simply don't think he'll get low enough where I would consider drafting him. I mentioned he's a lock to be gone in the first 9 picks before the Bears pick, but could he get past 5? If he gets past the number 5 pick, it's on my radar. Like, I will gladly admit that. If the Raiders are on the clock at 6 and Abdul Carter's there, I make a phone call. Can I get him without giving up a future first? Would 10, 39, or 41 and like a day 3 pick get it done? Future day 3 pick? I would think about that. Like, that's an offer I can get behind. But the reason I have it low is because I'm not trading up to 3. I'm not trading up to 4. 6, 7, okay, we can have a conversation. I just think it's so unlikely that it's almost moot to even talk about it. And then the last scenario, like, if this is the worst case scenario, I'd be okay with it, but I think all these other scenarios are probably better options. Draft a Marion Hampton at 10. And the reason I'd be okay with it is, 1, I think he's a very safe pick. Like, I think he's a 3-down back in the NFL. He can mesh well with Swift. Like, okay. Now, to me, you're reaching, like, this is like taking the 18th, 20th best player in the draft at 10. I don't love doing that. But for a guy that is probably not going to miss, like, you at least think he's going to be a good player, I'd be okay with it. We saw the Lions take Jahmyr Gibbs at 12. They got ripped for it. It's worked out very well. Not saying Hampton's going to have the same impact, but with that logic, you've got the coach who was a part of a regime that did that. I'd be okay with it. And remember, sometimes you get on the clock, you don't love the options, you try to trade, and there's no trade. You got to pick somebody, right? Maybe they'd rather take Hampton than Shamar Stewart. I probably would, if I'm being honest. The reason I'd edge higher is because it's a more premium position. Obviously, you just got to be prepared for every situation. So that's my 10th scenario. I don't think it would come to that, but like I'd rather trade. Like trading down for Hampton would be pretty high on my list, but I can't go over 65 scenarios. Otherwise, we're going to be here all day. Okay, what would you do with the number 10 pick? Those are my 10 kind of, I think, realistic-ish scenarios, how I would rank them if they came to fruition. What would you do with the 10th pick if you were the Chicago Bears? Give us your thoughts in the comment section below. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel. We will continue to pump out draft content as we get closer and closer to April's NFL Draft. Make us your home for Bears draft content on YouTube by subscribing and turning on notifications. All right, Dennis. For all the anti-Jeanties that want left tackle, Simmons, major injury. Membou, pure right tackle. Banks might be at a guard. Campbell off the board. Every other left tackle is too rich. Yeah, like there's not a Joe Alt in this draft, right? Where you're like, okay, that guy's a stud left tackle. Hit rate, miss rate is probably pretty low. Feel good about it. And if there was a Joe Alt, there's almost no chance he'd get to 10 anyway. Membou and Campbell may not get to 10, and there's certain questions, like can they play tackle in the NFL? So I like them both. I would like those picks, but it's not like they're just, flawless prospects with no blemishes.
Mm-hmm. No, for sure. I think
Dory Jackson.
If I had to rank an option for the Bears, like literally you just did. Obviously, if you can get your hands on an Abdul Carter or a Mason Graham, Travis Hunter, that caliber level player, you do it. But in terms of realistic options for the Bears at 10, I mean, Jeanty and Warren clearly to me are the two best players in terms of just raw talent. Now, how much does Ben Johnson value Cole Kmet, the tight end room, where he wants to go? Ashton Jeanty, immediately right away. You know what he's going to be, and he fits in seamlessly.
Mm-hmm.
Makes a lot of sense if you're willing to draft him.
Yeah. The only reason I have Membou there is because they've already mentioned we at least want competition at left tackle. Jones is coming off a major injury. And if you think he's a long-term left tackle, this is the last time ideally you're picking this high. So acquiring a high-level left tackle after this year might be difficult. So if you think Membou or Campbell is that, then I understand the pick. But if you don't, I probably would go elsewhere. I would take the guy that can help you the most right away.
Agreed.
So.
Agreed. We get another one from NJ. We'll load it up on screen. He says, I was on the keep RP team, and I'm happy we did. I get why people want to keep the head coach lined with the GM, but Ryan Poles' misses aren't huge, and he's done good for us.
Yeah, there's been some hits. There's been some misses. I think what we're seeing now is a setup I'm cool with, is that clearly Johnson's voice, like he has major say. Like if you were going to keep Poles to get Johnson, I think giving Johnson a lot of power, it was the way to go. It seems like it's more collaborative, whereas with Eberflus, they can say all day Flus had input. Poles was building the roster. I think now it's collaborative and Johnson is having a lot of say. So I like the setup. We'll see how it works long term. They seem to get along, like each other, seem to be on the same page. And as long as it's a healthy working relationship and, they challenge each other and all that stuff, then it's fine with me. I don't care who's in that position. I just want to win.
This has been a discussion, though. Like, honestly, go down below, rate your confidence level in Ryan Poles as the GM 0 to 100. Do it, give it a percentage and just your confidence level.
Without factoring in Ben Johnson's presence?
Yes. Just if you just take him solely as the GM. Now, granted, he was in part of the reason of getting Ben Johnson.
Yeah, I'd probably go like 60.
Okay.
Like, there are objectively things he's done well. He took on a really bad situation, didn't even have a first-round pick his first year, had a lot of bad contracts, had to take on dead money, and got them in a good cap situation basically like within the first 12 months. So that was good. The Eberflus situation, not good.
Right.
I don't know if he felt pushed into hiring him because they were pretty far down the line with Flus already. I don't know if we'll ever have the full answer to that. But I do think it's pretty clear that last offseason, if he wanted him gone, he could have dropped the hammer there, and he didn't. Now, look, who would you have ended up with? Like, if you didn't get Harbaugh, like, are you in a better situation now because you got Johnson, but because you cut Flus next year? Yeah, maybe. But I don't think that gives you a pass for keeping the guy either, just because it worked out this way.
No.
The roster stuff, it's been hits, misses. Certainly, there's been some bad.
There's been some good, too.
Been some good. It's been a mixed bag.
Yeah.
But something that's been pretty well reported is he's self-recognized some of the mistakes. I think Nate Davis is probably one of those. Being overly loyal to Eberflus is probably one of those. And I do think when you do factor in Ben Johnson as a guy you would trust his eye for personnel, especially offensively, I do think you feel better about Pohl's presence at that point.
Mm-hmm.
Solely, I think it's very mixed, which is why I give it like a 60. But with Johnson there, I feel pretty good about it. So,
yeah.
Again, we're projecting at this point. There's been a handful of moves with them together. I like the moves they've made so far, but we haven't even gotten to an OTA yet. So
we've got Noah Igbinoghene headed back to the Commanders.
A lot of Commanders re-signings the last couple days.
I've noticed this, that like teams love to make their moves all on the same day.
Yeah.
A lot of them do. Like they don't.
Let's re-sign these 4 guys on Thursday.
It's interesting. Justin Thorson says, for the anti-Jeanty crowd, by the way, first time super chatter. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. For the anti-Jeanty crowd, I just asked the difference between the other tight ends and Warren bigger than Jeanty and the other running backs.
Probably depends on who you ask. Colston Loveland's pretty damn good. Mm-hmm. But so is Marion Hampton. Yeah. I mean, the constant theme you hear about this draft is how good the tight end and running back groups are. Mm-hmm. So I think it would be hard to measure that. But I also think, like, if you take – here's another thing to consider. If you don't take Warren at 10 – I don't think it's a given you would take a tight end on day 2. You could, but I don't think it's a given. Mm-hmm. I think it's a given you would take a running back on day 2 if you didn't take one at 10. Yep. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. Like, that's kind of the difference. Agreed. Warren would just be more like they view him as a special player that they could do a lot with. Whereas with Jeanty, they view him as that, but also they just really want a running back too. Mm-hmm. So, like, if they don't take Jeanty at 10 or if he's not there or whatever, I'd be pretty shocked if they didn't take it back on day 2. Like, I would actually be stunned. Mm-hmm. So, I think that's the difference. Whereas, we could enter day 3, and they may not have drafted a tight end yet. I don't think that would surprise any of us.
Right. To Thorson's chat, though, and I'll just ask you this question. What do you think is more likely to happen? Loveland or another tight end outperforming Tyler Warren as the best tight end in this class, or Hampton or another running back outperforming Jeanty as being the number 1 running back in this class?
I'd say they're pretty similarly likely because a lot of it's fit.
It's true.
Like if Tyler Warren goes to the Jets at 7, I'm not trying to like rip on Justin Fields or anything, but defensive head coach, quarterback who inconsistent as a passer, probably a run-first offense. Tyler Warren could just not be great there.
Maybe.
Right? Like, I think I guess the question is, you're basically asking the other question too, like, do you think Loveland is closer to Warren or Hampton closer to Jeanty?
Exactly.
I think it's easier to be more productive regardless of situation as a running back than it is as a tight end.
Yeah.
Right? Like, if you put a Marion Hampton in Detroit behind that O-line or Philly, it's probably going to be pretty damn productive.
Yeah.
But you could point to half the league and be like, I don't know if Tyler Warren's going to catch 60 balls there. But you put him in this situation, he might catch 80.
Right.
I think there's way more variance at the tight end position than
It's true.
running back. So I guess that would be my answer to that. It'd be more likely that Hampton would be more productive, I would guess.
Yeah, because the hope is if you take a Tyler Warren, whereas Jeanty, it's like, all right, every team, for the most part, they have their different schemes and different percentages and how often they run, but the running back is featured pretty frequently throughout the NFL, and so is tight end, but you would think if a team is drafting Tyler Warren, they have kind of more of a vision for him, whereas Jeanty, like, you could have a vision for him, but you could also just be like, hey, he's just a really good player.
At the end of the day, sure, every running back's different, but it's kind of a position. It's why you see this all the time. You pick up a guy off a practice squad because you're banged up, and he comes in and rushes for 70 yards off the street.
Yeah.
That's not happening for tight ends. Because, like, running back, at the end of the day, you can tell him in the huddle, hey, you're running right here, you're running left, we're handing you the ball, your pass protect. Like, tight end is a more complicated, you got to know the offense more, I would say.
No, for sure.
Like, running back, at the end of the day, it's a field position.
It is.
And that's why you can, a couple years ago for the Bears, like, Deontay Foreman, like, ended up being the starter for a month, and he averaged, like, 85 yards a game. Like, that's easier than some random tight end, having a stretch for a month where he averages 80 yards a game. That just, you don't see that. So.
Agreed.
Marcus, what do you think about Will Campbell, having him learn from a guy like Tooney since he's 32, 33? Yeah, I mean, I think any lineman you take would learn from Tooney. I like Campbell a lot still. If they draft him and he's not a left tackle, you're sitting him this year, which is fine, but I don't love the idea of sitting the guy you take at 10 as a rookie unless you think he's your long-term left tackle. Now, maybe they would view Campbell as that. But,
interesting. Gardner Minshew, backup for the Kansas City Chiefs.
Oh, wow.
Interesting. All right.
That is fascinating.
Interesting.
So they're not bringing Carson Wentz back.
See you later, two sprains.
So where does Carson Wentz go?
Birmingham. That's my
Minnesota.
guess. I mean,
He'll be on it.
Yeah, no, he'll be on a team. He'll be on a team for sure.
Canada.
I don't know.
That's interesting. That was not on my radar.
No.
I thought Minnesota would be a pivot because they tried to keep Daniel Jones.
I'm just picturing those two.
Is Rodgers going to the Vikings?
Man, oh man. Somebody, I forget who, I'm not going to call you out. Someone had the nerve to ask what Aaron Rodgers backing up Caleb Williams would look like. I did not put it in the mailbag, but.
You don't want that situation. You don't want that situation.
I wouldn't put it in the mailbag, but figured I could at least mention it offhand. But
I wonder what Minshew's getting.
What
It's probably taking a little less to go there, I would guess.
I'm also just picturing a quarterback meeting between those two. It's interesting.
Minshew and Mahomes?
Yeah. I don't
It's
know.
a fun QB room.
Yeah. Something.
Probably took a little less to go there, but he's still getting some money from the Raiders, so.
For sure.
Zachary. Harrison, would you
rather
have the Luka trade undone, but Flus becomes the Mavs head coach for at least the next 10 years? Or would you rather have Nico Harrison? I don't want Nico as the Bears GM, so as sad and devastated as I am, because Nico would – I don't even know who he would trade. He would, trade –
Caleb Williams.
He would take on, $80 million in dead cap money just because he's like, oh, I don't know, he skipped a workout once or something.
Honestly, you know what he'd do? He would make the trade. Let's say Caleb has an amazing, turns into we'll just say, not to confuse people, but just a really good quarterback. Let's say the Bears go on an amazing run, get close to Super Bowl, and you're thinking, all right, we just got to tweak some things, we'll make it back. Trades Caleb for an aging quarterback, say
Dak Prescott.
I think this channel might explode if that would actually happen.
Any would you rather with Nico becoming the Bears GM is automatic. You pick the other choice. So Flus, and by the way, in this scenario, Flus go coach the Mavs. Luke is on the team. I don't even care.
Yeah.
So, I guess in this scenario he'd be on the team. But like, could you imagine if Flus was Luka's head coach? I think Luka would hire a hitman.
Yeah. No, agreed. Sorry, I just read an Underdog aggregated tweet, and I about just like my heart stopped for a second because I read it as Kirk Cousins' time in Atlanta is coming to a close, but it
says it's
I didn't read the likely coming to a close.
Still, who had that report? Is that their owner?
James Palmer. He does these kind of things where he like just talks for 60 seconds about stuff that he's hearing, and Underdog tweets it out.
Giants just signed Aaron Sinney, whoever the hell that is. All right, who we got next?
We're caught up.
Caught up.
Super.
All right.
Supers. If you guys want to keep the show rolling, by the way, $30 or well, actually less, like $29 to get Harry to drink a boot at a 90% discount. So
you
if
want
you
to
guys
make that happen? Cool. If not, yeah, Sanborn went to Dallas. Cornelius, he's gonzo. He's gonzo.
Gonzo.
We'll see ya.
Santana says I'm sending that right now on Cash App.
Okay.
If you guys want to, I'll put his Cash App in the old chat.
All right.
If you guys want to. Now, I will say, if that is true and you're not just bluffing, you might have to make a deal to get a little race going.
Mm-hmm.
But it's only if you guys are serious.
Ryan Poles was asked, what has Ben Johnson's impact on luring free agency? He said, quote, you want to be a part of exciting football. You want to be a part of scoring a lot of points. Yeah, I'd say Ben Johnson's voice is pretty prevalent in these free agent discussions.
Yeah.
Aaron Stinney.
I can't wait to actually get to the draft now.
Yeah.
Like, I really want to see how this thing all unfolds. Now, obviously, we've got, potential trades that could happen. Obviously,
Got the pro day circuit coming
signings
up.
between Aaron Rodgers, Russell Wilson could affect things. Like,
yeah, once those QB dominoes drop, the draft is going to really take center stage because it's going to be interesting.
I'm just thinking about, like, all the different possibilities.
I mean, like I said earlier, like, it's crazy to say, but to me, there's only 3 players that are locked to get drafted before the Bears pick at 10. 6 other guys have to go.
It's true.
I mean, are you with me? Is there a 4th absolute lock after Ward, Hunter, and Carter?
Those 3 for sure.
I mean, there's very likely guys. Like, I'd be surprised if Mason Graham fell. I'd be surprised if both
I'm not gonna lie.
Campbell and Membou fell. But, like, I don't know.
I'm not going to lie. I don't think they're locks by any means. Here's the thing. I'll get players that I'd be shocked by.
That got to 10?
That got to 10. I'd be shocked if Tedero McMillan is available at 10. I think the Patriots have swung and missed on a lot of receiver targets. They're not going to be able to get one. I think pairing a number 1 target with Drake May is somebody that they've been looking to do all offseason.
But what if 2 quarterbacks go in the top 3? And they're guaranteed one of Abdul Carter or Travis
That's what I'm
Hunter?
saying. Shocked. I'm not saying ruling it out. Like, and again, maybe they take Travis Hunter and play him 2 ways. I don't know. Like, there's a bunch of different scenarios that could go on.
Yeah, Hunter could be the receiver too.
Like, that's what I'm saying. Like, of course, Tedero McMillan could fall. There's no one at that level. Abdul Carter.
I do kind of think McMillan at 6 too is like
a possibility.
I feel like the Raiders are going to take either Jeanty or McMillan.
The Panthers at 8 could take him. The Jets, if they really wanted to go their route, and pair him with Garrett Wilson. Like,
yep. After losing Adams.
Yeah. Mason Graham, obviously. Like, he in Jacksonville just makes so much sense.
Yeah, he's not falling to 10.
I don't think so. Now, could he?
There's a tiny chance, but I don't think he will.
Yeah. And
the only way he falls to 10 is if he has a bad pro day.
That, and then also, like, do you really think he's going to get past? Like, say he falls out of the top 5. Do you really think he's passing Pete Carroll, Aaron Glenn?
Yeah.
Like, I just don't see it happening.
Yeah.
I just don't. Maybe I'm wrong.
He's the closest 4th lock. The only reason he's not a lock is because people freaked out about his measurables.
Yeah. He's a sawed-off shotgun athlete.
Yeah.
But he's still a damn shotgun. That would be my response.
He's still gonna blow your chest off if he hits you.
Exactly.
Yeah. It's a good way of putting it. Caden, Does Chubb have anything left in the tank? I honestly, the answer is I don't know. For his sake, I hope so, but I think you're gambling there. To me, that's a post-draft guy you look at. I would not sign him before the draft.
No. I would not sign a single running back before the draft.
Unless it's like a whatever this regime's version of Travis Hunter is, or Travis Homer, and it's just a special teams guy. Yeah. Like he's more of a special teamer than a running back.
Or something unforeseen happens, like Bijan Robinson gets cut. Outside of that, do not sign a single running back.
Yeah. Yeah, the only scenario would be is if they traded Swift. But they've spoken pretty highly of him. I don't expect him to get traded.
Yeah, and I still think for year 2, stretching if it gets to 3, he can be a really productive kind of catch the ball out of the backfield, home run hitting.
As inconsistent as he is from a vision running back, he still had like 1,300 yards and a bad offense. Like, he can be productive. Like, ideally, he has probably a little less yardage, but they're more impactful plays consistently. Mm-hmm. Like, you're getting more of the splash plays that we saw.
Yeah. Caleb Von Chason signing with the Patriots. 1 year, $5 million.
All right, there you go. It does seem like around this time every day you get a little flurry. Mm-hmm. It's like all the GMs were out at the strip club the night before, and they wake up around noon, they get some lunch, and I'm like, okay, I'll sign a player.
Yeah. Why not? We got to add somebody. You want to talk about this? I mean, to be honest, this time tomorrow.
Oh, the Giants met with Joe Flacco? See Marsh in production?
Well, I didn't even see. What did he say?
He's doing a cut on the Stinny, but they also met with Flacco, he said.
He's elite.
Oh, man. God. If Joe Flacco started week 1 for the Giants. I'm not joking. If Brian Daboll named him the starter and I was the owner, I'd fire him before week 1 started. I'd fire him and Shane. You cannot try him out there week 1.
That's why they're trying so hard to get Rodgers, man. They realize they are effed.
They gotta give the fan, even if it's false hope, they gotta give them some hope.
Yeah.
And Rodgers in New York, that's probably false hope, but it's at least something.
I know, F. Aaron Rodgers, everything he did to Chicago and everything. Honest opinion from you. Where does he rank as a quarterback in the NFL right now? And then where does Russell Wilson rank?
I think they're similar. I would take Rodgers because I think he still has a stronger arm and can pierce throws through the wind. I don't know. Is he like between 15 and 20? I think on his good days, he's like a fringe top 15 guy. I think the raw numbers are a bit misleading. I know if you look at the stats last year.
Well, the thing is if you look at the stats and realize he didn't have an offensive coordinator last year.
I understand.
But
a lot of that is they're just meaningless games and
garbage time.
No high leverage situations.
Right.
But he objectively played better down the stretch. He's clearly still at least an average NFL starter.
Yeah. I'm not saying he's top 10 or anything. That's not what I'm saying.
I mean, we can have some fun before we sign off. Let's just go through the teams of who I would rather take.
Okay.
Bills, obviously Josh Allen. So
yes.
That's 1. I'd rather have Tua. That's 2. I'll take him over Fields. So that's still at 2.
Ironic.
Drake May, in terms of ranking,
I think I'd take Rodgers right now. Right now, I would. Now, if Drake May goes out in the first 6 games and he proves me wrong, so be it.
I'm not going to include the non-Jaden rookies from last year because I just don't think it's a...
Okay. That's fair.
Because I would take all those guys over Rodgers.
Well, yeah, for the future. I can't say, based on how Drake May played last year.
But if you're telling me if you're the Giants right now and you had access to any of those quarterbacks, you would take them over Rodgers?
Well, that's also dealing with the contract, the youth, and everything that comes with it. I'm saying, win me a game tomorrow. Are you taking Aaron Rodgers or are you taking Drake May? That's what I'm asking.
If all things are equal, I don't know.
It's a discussion, that's fair, but I think I would take Rodgers just because of his experience and everything, and I think right now he could execute offense.
We'll leave it at 2.
That's fair. It's just us and Fields, I think, because we're not counting May, and he just went through the AFC.
Yeah. I'm gonna leave second-year guys out of it. I would clearly take Jaden over him anyway.
Yeah. No, that's fair. No, agreed.
Okay. Ravens, you're not, or
No.
clearly
I would take him
Lamar.
over Deshaun Watson or Kenny Pickett.
Oh, yeah. I mean, the Browns should try to get him. I don't know why they haven't.
Olamide Zaccheaus signing with the Bears.
Oh,
Olamide Zaccheaus.
there it is.
We got our signing, baby. Wide
We
receiver
got a
3.
signing. There it is.
Olamide Zaccheaus.
He had a career high last year.
Wow. Okay. The Bears have done something.
We're back.
We're so back, baby.
We're back.
Oh, my God. Former Washington Commander Olamide Zaccheaus has signed with the Chicago Bears.
Career high catches last year.
Olamide Zaccheaus.
Do we have a stat card for him?
I'll grab one here. I got to
Sam
move
may
it
have
over.
one built. 45 catches, 506 yards, 3 touchdowns last year.
We should. Let me scroll down here.
There you go.
Olamide Zaccheaus.
Go back to his combine profile.
Here,
and
I'm gonna
see.
make one real quick because we do not. I'm just gonna make. Here, I'm gonna take myself off screen.
Okay.
Zaccheaus.
Here's his stats if you need to look it up. All right. Olamide. Is it Olamide or Olamide? Olamide. That's what it is. Olamide Zaccheaus. Okay. I just saw the Olamide Zaccheaus. He not seeing a 40 time from when he was coming out. Olamide Zaccheaus. Plug him in as wide receiver 3 on the depth chart too. Once you get to that. He ran a 4.49 when he was coming out at his oh, he was the pro day. He actually did running back drills too, so that's interesting. In his career, he spent his first 4 years with the Falcons. His best year with Atlanta was in 2022, 40 catches, 533 and 3 touchdowns. The year before that, he had 406 and 3 touchdowns. This past year, career high in catches, second best in yards, 45 catches, 506 yards, 3 touchdowns. He has 13 touchdowns in 6 seasons. I think he's maybe spent some time as a returner. Yeah, last year he had 17 punt returns, no kickoff returns, so could be a punt return option as well. So we'll see. We shall see. Grade the signing. What do you guys think? I don't know the contract details yet. I can't imagine it's much. Can't imagine it's much. We're back.
We're so back.
We are back, baby. Olamide Zaccheaus. And there come the lights are on, and Zaccheaus is a Bear. We were about to sign off. I like the move. I don't know if this is like he's for sure your wide receiver 3, but I think he competes for that role. Maybe you pair him with a draft pick for that role. Does this mean no Keenan Allen? I'm not sure. I'm not sure what that means. Is that cut cocked? I don't know. I don't know. Good depth piece. Noah says B. Erica says B+. I don't know if this means the end of Keenan. I don't think it necessarily does. But I also don't know if there's been mutual interest there. I'm going to do a quick short here. All right, 1 second. Do a little short on the channel. You guys can see this in real time. Oh, the Patriots just made a signing. Oh, Caleb. Never mind. It's Caleb on Jason. It was a repost. Oh. Let's see. We're back, baby. The Bears are finally back in NFL free agency making moves. They sign a wide receiver, 6-year veteran Olamide Zakus. Spent the first 4 years of his career in Atlanta. Last year with Washington, had a career high 45 catches, over 500 yards, and 3 touchdowns. Could be in the mix to be that wide receiver 3. I don't know if this is like he's for sure your third guy, but could certainly compete for that role. Maybe they bring in a guy in the draft to compete with him. Does this mean for sure the end of Keenan Allen? I don't know if that's necessarily the case. Not sure if the Bears and Allen have had discussions or not, but Zakias is on board. We'll see what moves happen next. Full breakdown on Chicago Bears Now. Okay, let me get a photo for that piece. Huh? Oh, yeah. You may want to just do what segment 1 was, because just in case we have to, I mean, I think that cut's still going to be okay, but in case it gets cucked. Yep. Cool. Give me a sec here. Get your grades in the chat. The Bears are back, baby. Back making moves. Who's back of the week? Olamide Zakias, baby. Oh, literally, yeah. Yeah, you can use some of that stuff we had earlier. Here, give me a sec while this is silent. All right, getting some graphics ready on the fly. Then we will be ready to go. Only 618 RAS score. It's a 6-year vet. All right. This short's going to pop. Bears. All right, guys. Olamide Zakias. We're going to break it down shortly. I just got a little YouTube short together so people who aren't watching live can get an instant reaction. And then we will break this down a little bit further. Someone in the chat, DeAndre Carter replacement. I like that call. Like, ideally, he's probably your 4, but he can be your 3. So, you know, could be competition as your 3. What's up? Haven't seen contract yet. I would think so, right? 1-year deal. We're about to get in the cut. If someone sees it while we're in the cut, send it to Colin so he can get in my ear. I'll put this in production. About to start cut. If someone sees contract details, put in here immediately. All right. Yeah, I'm guessing this is like $3 million or something, but had a pretty good year last year. Ideally, he's a 4, but could be like competition for that 3 role. We'll see if that for sure means the end of Keenan. Not a returner. He returned 17 punts last year. What about Daddy T. Scott? Competition. We'll see. Colin Johnson, preseason Hall of Fame game legend. 6'6". That's still my most viewed VOD ever. Bears signed 6'6" wide receiver. Silhouette. Yeah. I can't wait for him to be a free agent. Remember when like we heard nothing about him last year, then he made the team? We were like, he actually made the team? Oh, that's right. Electric. Hey, they just got to get a quarterback. He'll be untapped. He'll be their number 2 behind Neighbors. Might have 500 yards. Yeah. Oh, Seeps. I love it. I love it. All right. Olamide Zakus, welcome to Chicago. We're going to break down the signing coming up here on Chicago Bears Now in just a moment. What was that graphic? I haven't even seen. So, like, if. Okay, I see. I see. Yeah, but the text is going to have to get fit text to box there. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. I'm not doing that shit. Okay. All right. Let's break down the signing, and then we'll see where we're at with this stream after that. All right. Let's go. After a quiet 2 days for the Chicago Bears in NFL free agency after a busy day one, on day 4 they make another signing. It is Olamide Zakus, the veteran wide receiver who has been in the league for 6 years. Contract details as we film are to be determined. If we get those while we're filming this segment, we will pass that along. Initial guess, I would guess 1 year, $3 million, 4, something like that. Probably a tick more than the vet minimum, but we'll have to wait and see what those details are. We'll tell you about the player and about the fit coming up here on this show. Give me your initial grade. A, B, C, D, or F. How do we feel about Olamide Zakus coming on board with the Chicago Bears? A, B, C, D, or F. I like it, assuming you're not investing that much money, which I'd be surprised if you were. We've talked about the number 3 wide receiver position being a vacancy. Now, is he like a surefire plug-and-play 3? He's like a 3-4. Ideally, he's a 4 who can give you value on special teams, speed guy, 4.49 in the 40 when he was coming out, can be a punt returner for you. Could this be a DeAndre Carter replacement? Certainly a possibility. He can also be a 3, though. Last year had a career high in catches with 45 with Washington, had 506 yards and 3 touchdowns, has 2 other seasons under his belt with at least 400 yards, so he's had some productive years in the NFL. His most yards was back in 2022 with Atlanta when he had 40 for 533 and 3 touchdowns. The year before that, 406. So in 3 of the last 4 seasons, he has had over 400 yards. So he's been a steady kind of role player, right? Again, he's definitely not a 1. He's definitely not a 2. He's probably a lower end 3. Very good 4, certainly very good replacement level player in the NFL. This will be his 4th team, 4 years in Atlanta, 1 year with who was he with before the Commanders? Philadelphia last year, and then Washington this past season. Now he comes to Chicago in a Ben Johnson offense that we've talked about adding more speed. He's not like a 4-3 guy, but 4-4 guy can give you some of that ability. He can do some probably jet sweep type of stuff, 5'9" receiver, so you can get a little gadgety with him. I think as of now, you would plug him in at wide receiver 3 over Tyler Scott, right? He's more proven in the league, obviously, and he's been more productive with multiple teams. So I think as we sit here on March 13th, he is your 3rd wide receiver. And if you don't get a guy with more skins on the wall, and we'll talk about Keenan Allen in a little bit, I think I'm okay entering the draft with him as your 3. I would like to add somebody, though, in the draft to compete, right? And give Tyler Scott an opportunity. Maybe you have a big 2 with your top 2 guys in DJ Moore and Rome Odunze, Cole Kmet's your true 3rd pass catcher along with your running backs, and then Zakias, Tyler Scott, and insert draft pick compete for that true number 3 wide receiver role. I think that could be perfectly fine. We'll see what the approach is when it comes to that for the Chicago Bears. Now, I do want to talk about Keenan Allen coming up. Does this signal the for sure exit of the veteran wide receiver? We'll dive into that a little bit here on Chicago Bears Now. But we are sponsored by Prize Picks, and we appreciate Prize Picks for sponsoring today's show, the best daily fantasy sports app in North America, which has given out more than $10 billion in earnings. You should get in on the action. It's very easy to sign up, create an account, prizepicks.com/CLNS. Use the code CLNS if you're a first-time customer. You're going to get a $50 bonus when you sign up and play for just $5. Takes less than 90 seconds to sign up. Takes less than 60 seconds to set your first lineup. What is a lineup? Well, it's at least 2 players on 2 or more different teams, and you pick more or less on the stat projections. If you're talking basketball players, action heating up on the court, points, rebounds, assists, combo stats like this one, little Austin Reeves, points, rebounds, assists. I took the more on that one with LeBron out. He's getting a lot of action there. Kobe White's been cooking for the Bulls recently. Took the more on his 22.5 points against Brooklyn as well. Pair that together, $10 to win 30. You can do bigger swings if you want. You can win up to 1,000 times your money on certain lineups with Prize Picks. So if you want to go small fish swing, big fish swing, and whatever you're feeling, if you want to cross over sports in your picks, you can do that. prizepicks.com/CLNS. The code CLNS is going to get you a $50 bonus once you play for just $5. Doesn't matter if you win or lose. $5, you get an additional $50 into your account immediately. Okay, Keenan Allen. What happens now? He's somewhat shockingly still available. No team has signed him. Will the Bears bring him back? Does this Zakus move factor in? Now, in a vacuum, you would think no, right? Because like Keenan Allen, Olamide Zakus, even if Allen's arrow's pointing down, he's clearly still a better player. Like I think we would all agree with that. But money factors in, role factors in. Does he want to be a true number 3 for this team where he could maybe be a 2 somewhere else? I don't know. Keenan Allen, during the season last year, was pretty blunt. He was like, yeah, I either want to re-sign here or I want to go back to L.A. Well, his options, if it's just Chicago or L.A., may be somewhat non-existent because the Rams brought in Devontae Adams. They already have Puka Nacua. Now they cut Cooper Kupp. Maybe he would take a discount to go be their third guy. But again, that would be a clear wide receiver 3 role. The Chargers brought back his old teammate, Mike Williams. They reunited with him. Are they also going to reunite with Keenan? Maybe, but you'd probably have to take a discount to go back there too. Okay, well, let's expand to the rest of the West Coast. The Raiders, I think they make a lot of sense because they have Jacoby Myers, who's like a 2-3 guy, probably a 2. Brock Bowers, they don't have other good receivers, though. He would be probably not their 1, but like you'd have 2 2s with him and Jacoby Myers. Maybe they draft somebody. The Niners, I could see maybe bringing him in. They traded Debo. Ayuk's coming off a major injury. Seattle, it's not L.A. It rains a lot. It's Pacific Northwest. It's a different vibe. They could use a receiver, though. They traded DK, and they obviously cut Tyler Lockett, so he could be a fit there. And then Arizona, sunnier, indoors. That's probably more of what he's used to compared to L.A. A lot of players hang out in Scottsdale in the offseason, so maybe he would go there, be the slot for Kyler Murray next to Marvin Harrison Jr. Look, if the price is right, I'm still open to him returning. It's hard for me to project if this Zakus move signals the end of Keenan Allen in Chicago. There's certainly different players. Zakus is smaller, has more speed, is younger, can play on special teams. Keenan Allen's a possession slot receiver who's on the downside of his career but can still be productive. It'll be interesting. I think one thing is clear. Keenan Allen is not a priority for the Bears. If the price came down enough, could they be interested? I could see it. Caleb Williams likes him. There's chemistry there. But they're not going out of their way to bring him back. That's clear. We're 4 days into free agency. Like at this point, guys aren't priorities for teams anymore. You're looking for value. What is Keenan Allen's value? How much is it going to cost to bring him back? Do they feel like Zakus, Tyler Scott, a draft pick, can just kind of be a wide receiver 3 by committee, by competition? They might. Ben Johnson ran the 3rd most 12 personnel last year, which is 2 tight ends, 2 receivers on the field. They got 2 damn good receivers in DJ Moore and Rome Odeyingbo. Got a good tight end, Cole Kmet. They signed Durham Smythe. They might go draft another tight end. So we'll see what happens. If you bring back Keenan Allen, I think it's got to be a clear wide receiver 3 role. Like, you're not building the game plan around Keenan Allen anymore. DJ Moore, Rome Odeyingbo, the running game. Keenan's got to be a willing blocker. He's got to do more of the dirty work if he wants to be back. Does he want to do that at this stage in his career? I don't know. Does he want to just make $6, $7, $8 million? Because I don't know if the Bears would offer more than that. I don't know. My guess is he's gone, not necessarily because Zakus is here, but just because we're 4 days in and they have not brought him back. All right, so with the Zakus addition, this is where things sit in terms of external moves. They obviously brought in Jonah Jackson, Joe Tooney, Durham Smythe as well. He's not on this graphic, but they signed him before free agency. Drew Dalman, who officially signed his contract, got introduced to the media today. So did Dayo Odeyingbo as well. Grady Jarrett, Scott Daly is back, and now Olamide Zakus. Contract details to be determined. I would assume it's a cheap one-year deal. At most $5 million. I would guess more like 3 or 4 after coming off a pretty good season. So we'll see what the Bears' plan for him is. We'll see what it means for the rest of the wide receiver room and potential additions moving forward. My name is Harrison Graham. Olamide Zakus, you are a Chicago Bear. Be sure to subscribe for more content. We got you covered here on Bears Now. All right.
Olamide Zakus.
Couple interesting nuggets coming in. So
I
one,
saw from
Schultz.
yeah.
There's Jordan Schultz says there's a contingent of Ashton Jeanty supporters within the Raiders.
Yep.
Not a surprise. Brad Biggs, Bears get a potential wide receiver 3 that has the ability to play in the slot.
Wow.
He's pretty tapped in.
All right. Get your one-word reactions down below as we're breaking down all the news here. Again, I don't know. We just talked about, and again, the lights. It's incredible how we've missed it being in a cut today. Like this.
This is actually new, too. Usually it's been when the door is open.
Yeah. I'm going to turn that off. Give me 1 second. But
I think it's because, was this ceiling tile open before today? I'm going ceiling tile theory. Ceiling tile theory. It's incredible, baby. Oh, man.
So, like I was saying, like right before the Zakus news happens, these teams tend to make moves on the same day.
Yes.
The Bears make another one. We'll see.
Maybe.
We will have you covered no matter the move.
Do you think Keenan Allen's gone?
I think so.
I think he's gone.
But
I think he was already gone.
Yeah, this just kind of like more confirms it.
Yeah.
I'm really curious to see these numbers.
I think they're going to go. I think it's clear they don't want to invest heavily in a wide receiver 3.
Mm-hmm. I
think they're going to probably draft a receiver in the middle rounds, and it's just going to go compete. You got your top 2. Zakus is coming off a good year. His last 4 years, he's had 3 good ones.
Yeah.
Tyler Scott will get opportunities.
Yeah. Did Bears fans just get bad news with a contingency plan?
I don't think so.
No, I just was.
I don't think you have. I don't think you need. I felt at times last year. It was like, why is Keenan like getting the most targets? Like, I get it, Caleb trusted him and all that, but it's like that is kind of a problem when you have 3 really good receivers. Like, it's not. It shouldn't be a problem, but it's like, well, it's been like 2 quarters since you've thrown the ball to Rome Odunze.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you took the guy in the top 10. He's got to get targets.
Right.
Like, if Zakus can do some of the grunt work and not cost a lot and hit an occasional big play and catch 30 to 50 balls and have 400 or 500 yards, it's fine with me.
Fine.
Like, you don't. Like, ideally, your top 2 receivers are 1,000-yard guys.
Mm.
And your third receiver, or your third leading receiver is Cole Kmet. And he's like a 700-yard guy.
Right.
And then your backs combined for 700 yards. And then the rest of your receivers combined have 500-600 yards. Yeah.
We'll kind of like get into this more, but as the receiving room currently stands, how do you feel about it?
I'm fine with that. You need to add another name in there. I think they'll draft somebody.
So this is what it looks like right now.
To me, you only have 4 rosterable guys, so you're going to have to add somebody. You're going to have to add – I would guess they add a vet minimum free agent at some point and then draft somebody.
Yeah.
So then you have 6 guys probably competing for 5 or 6 roster spots. Maybe Colin Johnson comes back.
Maybe.
Maybe you bring back a guy like Equinemius St. Brown, who was here before, blocker type. I'm fine. I'm fine with it because I like the top two.
Yeah. The top two should
Now
have.
you really just need to make sure you have enough depth because injuries pop up and all that stuff.
Yeah.
So.
Agreed.
Someone asked possible kick returner. He's never been that in the NFL. He's been a punt returner sometimes. Someone says Jalen Noel sounds like a lock at this point. Wouldn't say lock, but here's what I'll say about Zakus.
Yep.
If he ends up being your 4, I love it. If he's your 3,
Okay.
it's fine.
It's okay.
It probably means your wide receiver 3 is by committee, which in this offense, where you're probably going to use 12 personnel quite a bit, is perfectly fine. They've prioritized the trenches, as they should have.
Yeah.
So.
Shout out to former Bears producer Jack Lauderay for getting that cut, by the way.
Shout out OG Jack, baby.
OG Jack. Yeah, this move to me pushes down receiver in the draft even more. Like, I feel like...
You don't have to take a guy on day 2. You could
Exactly.
take a guy on like the 5th.
Exactly.
Kyle Williams.
Keandre Lambert-Smith, baby. Yeah, Kyle Williams obviously makes a lot of sense. Yeah, because, I mean, I like Jalen Noel, but it doesn't make a lot of sense for the Bears to draft him. It really doesn't. The Jeanty news is the most interesting.
Yeah, you want to pass that along to the audience again while I tweet this
Yeah.
out?
So according to Schultz, let me just pull it up here. It literally happened like as we were making the cut. So thanks for y'all's patience. Basically he said that the Raiders, there's a contingency that is open to drafting Ashton Jeanty, and there's supporters of drafting Ashton Jeanty. So that reads to me, Pete Carroll is one of those. If I had to guess, he's one of them. I don't think this is a spy tech move. And maybe some of Pete's disciples. And it just makes a lot of sense. This is the same dude that took Rashad Penny first round back in the day. He values the running back position. Took Christine Michael high. It just makes too much sense. There's going to be a lot of smoke around the Raiders and Ashton Jeanty.
Dude, this is a wild... Remind me when we sign off to tell you this wild story.
Okay.
I don't want to say it on the show.
Okay.
It's nothing bad. I just would rather avoid the conversation. It's not relevant for this. But remind me to bring this up.
I was about to say,
this is wild.
You could slack it to me, and I won't say it.
Okay, I'll send it to you.
But I think this is all known that the biggest competition for the Bears getting Jeanty is the Raiders. And now this pretty much confirms
It's the Raiders or unknown team that would trade up. How wild is that?
We will be discussing that often. We will be talking about that often.
That is hilarious.
It just makes sense. Like, Pete Carroll wants to run the football, play defense at his core. That's what he wants to do. And you know who does that best for Las Vegas? Ashton Jeanty.
Yep. Oh, the Bears re-signed Steven Carlson.
See, what am I?
I'm not doing it.
I know, right, but like,
I'll probably do a short or something later.
yeah. Steven Carlson.
Or just even like a community post.
Yeah.
Depth tight end.
Yeah.
Probably, that doesn't change anything for me.
DeMarcus Lawrence says the reason he signed with Seattle is because of Aiden Dirty, former guy in Dallas. So that makes a lot of sense.
Oh, interesting.
What was the other tweet?
Someone says Steven Carlson, why? Well, you have a 90-man roster, so
Yeah.
need guys.
Depth. I want to see if it's another move. Ooh, De'Aaron Fox undergoing season-ending surgery for a tendon damage and just left pinky.
Mm-hmm.
Fox out for the rest of the year. De'Aaron Fox.
I mean, this is one of the most amazing tank jobs we've ever seen by the Spurs. They're going to get another elite player in the lottery, and then they're going to go
Flag,
win
baby.
12 championships.
Yep. I got a buddy who's a Spurs fan.
They might even win the lottery again. They might get Flag.
That's what I'm saying. Flag, Wemby, Fox. New big three.
God. Unbelievable. Unbelievable, baby.
It really is. See, with Carlson, I feel like we got to stay alive a little bit longer.
We can hang.
Just a little bit. Just a little bit longer.
Dude, there is no way. Dov just aggregated a tweet that there's an email from Bill Belichick that said, that has been leaked, asking that every email that's relevant to the team to CC his 24-year-old girlfriend in the emails. That's a train wreck. Why does Jordan Hudson need to know what's going on with UNC football on day-to-day?
Why are we talking about Jordan Hudson on Bears now? And yet, here we are.
Because I keep seeing crazy tweets on my feed.
I'm saying, the fact that you're having to bring it up, you're doing your job. I'm saying the fact that that's even being brought up. That's more or less what I was referring to. Oh, my God.
Oh, man.
By the way, check your Venmo. Someone mentioned they were going to send you a Venmo. I don't know if they did. I didn't see anything in the chat, but I just remembered from pre-cut.
What's his name said Cash App, but I never got anything.
Yeah. Hey, just want to make sure.
Yeah, I don't see anything.
Interesting. Zakus. Interesting.
All right. Well, any final thoughts, people?
Yeah. Any last words?
Don't think Cooper Kupp's happening. There was a report earlier. He's getting offers of $12 million.
Let me ask y'all this down below. If Jeanty and Warren are not available, who is your number one realistic target for the Bears? If Jeanty and Warren, the two weapons, are not available, say Jeanty goes to the Raiders, we'll say for the sake of argument, Warren goes to the Saints, whatever.
Any player or skill player?
Just any player. Your number one on your board, realistic, not a Abdul Carter.
Not Mason Graham. If it's Mason Graham, that's my answer. He's my number one probably regardless.
Yeah.
I think I'd take him over Jeanty still.
I'm seeing Membou, Banks, Booker.
If it's not
Kelvin Banks, Michael Williams, Hampton.
If you told me Membou can play left tackle, it would be him.
Okay.
I think.
Yeah. Membou would make a lot of sense.
I mean, if he can play left tackle and he hits, your O-line could be kind of set for a while.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, maybe there's some cycling at guard, but that's easier to do than tackle.
I'm seeing some Simmons, Shamar Stewart.
I like the Simmons idea in a trade down scenario.
Yeah.
I don't.
Which, to be honest, that may be like the go-to.
At trade down to 15 or something, take them.
Because honestly, how about this? We'll go back and forth on a mock real quick. You pick either odd or even teams. Actually, let's make you even so you're the Bears.
Okay.
So I'll be odd.
Okay, so you start.
So I'll pick Cam Ward for the Titans.
Okay, I'll take Shador.
Shador for
unless the Browns land a vet, I still think they're drafting a quarterback.
All right. Based on what our Giants host said today, I will take Travis Hunter at 3.
Okay, Abdul Carter, the Patriots.
Okay, so then that leaves me 5, so I'll take Mason Graham for the Jags. Makes too much sense.
So who's 6?
That would be
Raiders.
The Raiders.
It's either McMillan or Jeanty. I mean,
you pick. You're the 6th. You pretend you're the Raiders for a second and be honest with where you think they. I
think that's 50-50. I'll say Jeanty just because of that Schultz report coming out. I probably would have leaned McMillan before, but I definitely think he's under consideration. I'll say Jeanty just for the sake of this exercise.
Okay. 7, so that's the Jets, right? At 7. I'll take Armand Membou.
Yep, because Fashanu is going to go to left tackle. He becomes their right tackle.
So I'll take him.
I'll go McMillan to the Panthers.
Okay. And number 9 is the Saints.
They re-signed Juwan Johnson, so I'm not as convinced they'll go Warren now because they have Foster Moreau too, so that's a pretty good 1-2 at tight end.
So I guess you would go potentially Campbell then.
That's probably what I would do if I had that pick. So then, in that scenario, are all the guys that we talked about, the 5, are they all gone?
Well, Jeanty's gone.
Campbell and
Campbell's
Membou are
gone.
gone.
Membou are gone.
Mason Graham's
Mason
gone.
Graham's gone. And then Warren. Well, Warren's available, so you take Warren.
Probably take Warren. I'd take Warren or trade down.
Warren or trade down?
I would take Warren over Josh Simmons at 10. Because Simmons would be the other name I'd consider, but it's just the knee. I mean, even if they said he's like on a good track, it's like, that's still a knee. Like, just because he's recovering nicely doesn't mean there's not going to be issues down the road.
Travis says new signing. We're not seeing anything.
You're probably talking about
Carlson.
If you're just or maybe you're just joining us, they signed Olamide Zakus. It's right there. They also re-signed Steven Carlson, who's been bounced around the practice squad and Bears roster the last 2 years.
Yeah.
He's like a fringe roster guy. For now, he's your third tight end, but ideally you would upgrade there, which I think they will.
Axeman says, why do you guys not like Banks? I actually really like Kelvin Banks. I just don't think he's on the same tier as Membou or Campbell as an offensive lineman.
I don't like his feet. Or I shouldn't say, I don't like him as much. There's too many plays where he ends up on the ground. I think there's balance issue. Like, I think sometimes he can get knocked off his spot too easily, and it leads to footwork.
Laviska Shenault to the Bills.
Okay.
Sorry.
So the Bills have like 19 number 3 and depth receivers.
Receiver by committee.
Yes. Josh Allen, 2 tight ends and 9 receivers.
Yeah.
Get it done.
And whatever you want.
Yeah. Banks and Simmons to me are guys I would trade down for and take in the teens.
Yeah. I think if you're the Bears, you're entertaining Simmons more because, A, left tackle.
Pure left tackle.
But also, too, I think Simmons, and Eric, you mentioned this earlier, and you've mentioned it throughout, but I'll reiterate it. He's a guy that if he doesn't get injured, I mean, he's potentially a top 10 talent.
Might be the first lineman off the board because he's probably the best pure left tackle. I know Banks and Campbell have played left tackle, but numerous scouts have mentioned that teams view them potentially better as guards. So, yeah, I still like Banks. I don't love him at 10, that's all. I think Tyler Warren's a better prospect. I'd rather take Tyler Warren. I think Ashton Jeanty's better. Simmons versus Banks, I'd have to think about. It's a tough call because I think Banks can't play left tackle. He did it in college. The arm length, he checked that box. Simmons also, I think, only had 33 and a half, so it's not like he has 35-inch arms. So
I think it's team dependent. I think if your team needs a guard / somebody that can be more the interior option, I think you go Banks. If you need a tackle, I think you go Simmons. In my opinion. Gray Zabel also deserves to be mentioned in that kind of same tier.
Yeah, he just can't play tackle.
Right, but like in terms of like linemen in that range, but yeah, I get
How would you rank those 3 just purely as prospects?
Ooh.
Obviously, you factor in the injury with Simmons, but like not necessarily position. Just like
just as
how do you like
big
them as
board.
players? Yeah.
Simmons would be the highest for me.
I think I'd go Simmons, Banks, Zabel because I think Banks can play 4 positions. Zabel can play 3.
Yeah, you've really been on the Zabel hype train.
I like him a lot.
Here's the thing, he's like climbing up the board for me personally.
Yeah. Well, I think your Seahawks at 18.
It's an option. That's what I'm saying. Yeah. Like if I'm sitting there and it's Banks and Zabel, like it's a long conversation.
Yep.
I'm sure they're having conversations too. So they're flipped. But Simmons to me is a clear one.
For Seattle, it might even be Zabel because they've got their left tackle.
Yep.
When healthy, what's his name? Solid at right tackle.
Abraham Lucas.
And if they think Zabel is just better on the interior, you just take him.
The ability to play center also, that's an option.
It's huge.
For sure.
Huge.
Yeah, DC, I don't think he's getting to 39. Like the Texans, if he's there at,
he's not getting to 39.
20, where are the Texans?
I think
25?
Zabel's kind of out of the Bears mix, by the way, because there's no path to him playing this year.
Yeah.
Like, it's one thing if you take Campbell and he sits this year. Well, he's just a higher level prospect.
Yeah.
But, like, Zabel, Like, if you trade down and he's your first pick and he sits,
Yeah.
I don't think he's – like, if he fell to 39, okay, like, he's in play. But, like, I don't think –
Right.
I don't think he's a guy you like are thinking, okay, let's trade down and get him at like 18.
If you draft Tyler Warren at 10, you're taking a running back either at 39 or 41. Pick your poison, doesn't matter.
Probably. Maybe you'd wait till 72. But probably.
I mean,
I'd still go 39 or 40.
If Judkins is on the board at 39, I'm rushing the pick in.
Yeah.
If I'm the Bears.
Yeah.
Personally, that's just me.
No, I hear you.
What position do you go with the other second-round pick, if you take one there?
I'd probably lean a defensive lineman, but if there was an O-lineman I really liked,
Yeah.
ideally O-line or D-line, but I'd still be somewhat BPA flexible.
Yeah.
I think at that point, though, like at least one of your first 3 picks has to be a trenches player, I think.
Yeah.
So I think I'd probably – that's the range with a lot of the edges and D-tacks. So I'd probably just take the best defensive lineman. Like – Tuamoloau, Uman Moline, Landon Jackson, if Walter Nolan slips, if James Pierce is there, whoever.
Walter Nolan, I forget who said this, and I apologize, was quoted as having one of the best motors this guy's ever seen. It was like either a draft analyst or somebody. He, to me, is a fascinating prospect.
The rumor on Nolan is that when he was at A&M, there was issues. But once he got to Ole Miss this year, those went away. So I don't know if that's been straightened out or if teams are still looking into that.
Yeah.
I don't know.
It's an interesting discussion.
I don't know.
All right, so Stephen
Someone
Carlson.
says, give me Henderson over Judkins. I just think the skill set overlaps too much with Swift. If Swift wasn't on this team, I'd think about it. I still like Judkins more, but I could hear that discussion. But if you're trying to like go with a 1-2 punch at running back, I want more variance in skill sets. Like,
Agreed.
They have too much in common. They're both good in space. They both don't have great vision. They both can run between the tackles, but it's not really a strength. They're both good in the pass game. I think Henderson is DeAndre Swift, but a better pass protector.
You don't think he's Jamal Charles, like some draft
No.
analyst?
Yeah, that comp is – I mean, Jamal Charles might be the most underrated running back of all time.
He's so good.
If he played a couple more years at his peak level, he'd be in the Hall of Fame.
Former Jacksonville Jaguar.
Dude, he was playing with the Chiefs when they had just garbage. They were like Matt Castle, and he put up crazy numbers, dude.
No, he wasn't there for training.
For I don't know if he still is, but for the longest time among qualified rushers, he's the number 1 yards per carry guy in NFL history for a team that could not throw the ball consistently.
Yeah.
Like the talk forever has been if he could have played with Mahomes even for just like a season, he probably would have had like 2,300 yards all purpose. I mean, it would have been just ridiculous.
Yeah.
I mean, think about that year Kareem Hunt had with Mahomes before they kicked him off the team. Charles is a much better back than Kareem Hunt.
100%.
And Kareem Hunt was like on pace to have like a crazy season.
Yeah. They made the right move, in my opinion, trading away Tyreek Hill. But, like, the fact that Hill had back-to-back 1,800-yard seasons, like, obviously the chemistry was obviously already there with Mahomes. Like, you could do those what-ifs all day, but...
That offense was outrageous with him.
Yeah.
Because him and Pete Kelsey, I mean, it didn't even matter who the other players were. It was just like...
Yeah. The thing is like, they did get blown out in the Super Bowl against the Bucs, but it would have been very interesting in that first year, you know, with the new overtime rules, like them getting the ball, how they would have fared.
Oh. Dude, they had
In
all the momentum.
In the AFC Championship game.
And I think they would have beat the Rams in the Super Bowl.
I agree. Which that would have been, God. That would have been such a letdown.
That was the year they played each other, and the Rams actually won 54-51.
People forget about that game.
But I think the Chiefs would have won the rematch.
Random trivia fact, Samson Ebukam had a defensive touchdown that game.
He did.
He was like one of their unsung heroes that year.
That was a weird game. The Chiefs, I think, had 5 turnovers and still scored 51 points.
Yeah.
It was
electric.
It was insane.
Oh, my God, yeah. Monday Night Football, too. Arguably the greatest Monday Night Football game of
It was
all time.
supposed to be in Mexico, but they had to move it because there were stadium issues down there.
Hold on. I got to renew the link. But here, I'll read it to you.
I still have not seen Zakias' contract, so we may not have that for a little while.
Yeah, what do you think about or Travis says, what do you like about Zakias Harrison? I'm sure you've already said this. Also, shame we don't use Rome in the punt game, FGB.
I mean, I would have been okay if they used him some as a punt returner last year, but you don't draft a receiver in the top 10 and make him a punt returner. Just not what you do. I like it. I don't think it's gonna be that expensive. He's a low mid 3, great 4. That's kind of been his career. 3 out of the last 4 years, he has over 500 yards or 400 yards. 2 out of the last 3, he has over 500. Last year, he had a career high 45 catches. He had a 40 catch season 2 years prior to that. He's a solid role player. Primarily a slot guy. I think there will be kind of competition for that third wide receiver spot. I'm not saying it's for sure the end of Keenan Allen, but I don't think Keenan's coming back. And I think it'll be kind of wide receiver 3 by committee / competition. I think that's probably what you're going to be looking at. So we'll see what the approach is from the Bears there. I would guess they add another free agent, vet min guy at some point to the room. And then I would guess they draft somebody either third round or on day 3. Mm-hmm. And you look at guys like Zakias, Tyler Scott, that other free agent, TBD, who that is, and that draft pick. 4 guys competing for that, for the pecking order after DJ and Rome. That would be my guess is the approach to the wide receiver room.
If they signed him 1 year, $5.5 million.
Be fine.
Yeah. That's
6, anything more than 6, I'd be like, feels a little high, but
yeah.
I would guess it's somewhere between 3 and 6.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Nothing too crazy.
Maybe it's 4, 4.5. Who said 5.5? Someone in the chat?
No, that was the contract MVS got. So I was just, to me, like, MVS is older.
Comparable.
Yeah.
Productions. Yeah. Maybe. Theo Ash on Twitter. Chicago got the GOAT role player wide receiver. They might really be off-season champions this time.
He's a character, man.
Oh man. He's good after the catch. He had I saw a note earlier, like 280 of his 500-something yards were after the catch last year. So, Texas beat Texas A&M. They're probably dancing.
They're dancing, baby.
This is March.
This is March.
This is March.
By the way, for all my
94-89 in double overtime when you have to have it.
Wow.
That's pretty amazing, dude. Season on the line. They were the first team out in Joey Brackett's projection.
Yeah, hold on. I'm pulling this up because I don't want to.
Oh, I wonder if Seep's Xavier Musketeers won. Oh, no, they lost by 2.
Oh.
They are going to be sweating.
By the way,
Selection Sunday.
If you want to appeal to the Illinois fans that you may or may not have in the chat right now, I am a big Yakachonis fan.
Yakachonis, okay.
Oh, baby. This dude is a bucket.
He is a bucket.
I think Illinois,
are they a dark horse if he gets hot?
Dude,
I can't get that Duke game out of my head. They got fucking walloped.
They did.
They lost by 40.
But in terms of just having fun in the tournament, and honestly, just a player that maybe America doesn't know this. And shout out to
get to the second weekend.
Shout out to former Bear. You want to hear his name? Shout out to former Bears producer Nick Roloff. He was the one that put me on. Dude's an absolute bucket. He's an absolute
playing
bucket.
Iowa right now, down 24-23, midway through the first half.
How do we feel about Yakachonis? For any hoop heads in the chat.
Let me pull up this kid's stats. He's averaging 15, 6, and 5. Okay.
He's
a true freshman.
Yeah.
6'6". Is he a lottery pick guy?
Yes. I don't think he gets out of the top 10.
Electric.
Dude, just whenever you get some free time, obviously it's free agency week, so maybe a minute, but just look up some highlights. All right, we've got Sam Denault says, just got here. Do you think we are going to get Jeanty? If you had to rank a percentage on it, what would you say to add to this?
it's hard to give like a super high percentage because A, we don't know what their big board is. B, we didn't know he's going to be there. I don't know, 20%. That's still pretty high. I mean, he may not be there. If he's there, they still may not draft him. I think the better way I would rank it is like betting odds. Who's the favorite to be their pick at 10? He'd probably be the favorite.
Yeah.
Like 20% is high.
Right.
Like
compared to everybody else.
Yeah, it would be like saying, what are the chances the Bears make the NFC Championship game? I don't know, 7%. But that's still not like low. Only 2 teams make it.
Yeah.
So,
jeez.
If he's there and you're asking me what the percentages are, I'd say 50-50.
Yeah.
That's an easier way for me to answer. If he's on the board, I would say it's 50-50. Pretty good chance they would take him.
Okay. Wow. I don't know if you're looking at production right now. It is. The Commanders are signing John Bates. 3-year deal. Man.
Who got signed?
John Bates, 3-year deal.
They've re-signed like 20 players today, it feels like.
Oh, jeez. Yeah.
We've got a dilemma in production.
Oh,
It's a bloodbath.
It's a bloodbath.
Oh, man.
Everyone's got to learn.
Hey, man. Live and learn, baby. It's what this thing called life is all about.
Yeah. We got Drew Dalman in the chat, baby. Oh, Loctera, what up, dude? Matt Pryor's a stud, multi-spot, backup, and cheaper.
Yeah, I said this earlier. I would cut Bates and re-sign Pryor.
Coming up tomorrow, Giants breaking news. That's funny. Yeah. How are we feeling? I will say, when we asked who should the Bears sign next, did not see an OL Matt Zakus being that person. And we even broke down wide receiver threes. We mentioned Tim Patrick. We mentioned Reynolds, Tyler Lockett, Cooper Kupp, Keenan Allen. OL Matt Zakus. Even people like us who are like as locked in as we possibly can be didn't have him as an option. I heard no buzz about this to the Bears.
No. But did you hear buzz about him anywhere? Like, there's certain free agents that you're just not going to spend a lot of time discussing.
Touche.
Yeah, interesting fit, though.
It is.
Again, 3-4 type. He can be a 3. I think if he's your 3, it's probably a committee type of situation, but productive last year with a fellow second-year quarterback, rookie last year, so see how it goes.
Bang, bang.
This is out of pocket at this point.
Yeah.
Poor Durham. All right. Well,
that's funny.
I think we're done. I think I'm done. We done, chat? You guys want us to be done? We out of here?
Why for yes and for no?
Is Zakias a decent blocker? That's a good question. PFF can be spotty with these things, but let's see how he grades. He's a smaller receiver, so sometimes small receivers are good blockers. Darnell Mooney is a pretty good blocker, is a smaller receiver. His run blocking last year right at a 60, so not bad for a receiver. Not bad. I'd say that's like a tick above average for what you usually see from PFF's grades for receivers as blockers. So, okay.
All right. Here's the thing. They're all saying no in the chat. I asked why for yes and for no. Here's what I'll do. 2 minutes shot clock.
Okay.
If we get a super chat, we'll keep this thing rolling for however long Harry wants to go. If not, we'll sign off. Because at the end of the day, me and Harry both got stuff to do. Nothing against y'all, but we do have responsibilities and stuff. And super chats aren't going to come in. We do got to sign off at some point. So, clock started.
Oh, this cut is humming. It's good, old Olamide.
Up to y'all.
Up to y'all. Harrison looks tired. It's been a long week.
Dude, yeah, you've been battling.
I'm not rolling out alive tomorrow.
This is true.
We'll be at work, TBD live. TBD. If we go live tomorrow, guys, what should we do?
Ooh, that's a good question. Do another mock, maybe? You guys seem to really like the mock.
I could reveal a mock, and then we could do a fan mock right after. Better mock wins.
Ooh.
Hookers and cocaine from Rolly's neckbeard. Hey, you do you. That will not be on the program. Mock 78.0. Love it. Okay, how about this? Can someone in the chat, maybe some of you remember, do you remember how many mocks I did last year? Do you guys remember? Because I started in freaking week 4 when the Bears were a joke. Do you guys remember how many I did last year? Guess a number. A couple people have been close.
There you go. We did get a super chat from Caleb Saved Us. We'll get that pulled up on screen here in a second, but they extend the
I don't know if I've seen. I'll put it this way: one person has gotten it.
At least there may have been.
No, just one.
Just one?
Yep. One person has gotten it. Now 2 people have gotten it.
Oh, by the way, did we read this super chat earlier?
Cullen Graham. Who is?
I don't think that this is a new person.
What's
got
the
a Caleb
caps?
Williams.
Yeah, we just don't know. We know what it is with the Dalman and Odeyingbo structures, which got it down to $22 million, but that does not factor in Jarrett's cap hits, Durham Smythe, Scott Daly as a re-signing, or now Zakus. So,
Yes.
Unclear.
TBD. And then this was the one that just came in. Caleb Saved Us.
Keenan stunts Rome's growth. It's possible moving forward he would. Because Keenan would still get targets. All right, the answer is 25. The first person that got it was DC Viper, but he said, I don't know, maybe 25, so it wasn't like a firm he got it, but it was 25.
Yeah.
This year we will not get to 25. I think I've done 8 or so. Even if I do 1 per week, probably looking more at like 15.
Yeah.
Still a lot.
Yeah.
Still a lot.
Honestly, I mean, and they're a lot of fun.
They're fun. I can't wait to see the reaction when I inevitably take Tyler Warren on a mock soon.
I mean, to be honest, like...
He's in play.
DC
Cullen versus Harrison, 40-yard dash.
Harrison would smoke me.
Can I Believe it or not, I know I don't look the part. I was fast once upon a time, relatively. Like, middle school, high school, I was pretty fast. Like, I was actually the kid in, like, Little League. I was, like, the fastest kid on the team.
I believe it.
But that was 20 years ago.
I still think I am... 40-yard would not be my strength.
Runner's not your thing?
No.
But the 3-cone. The quickness drills. Quickness drills.
There we go.
4-4-3. Oh, do you mean 4 minutes and 43 seconds?
Yeah.
DK
Honestly,
Savage is calling cap.
Who finishes first? You running a 40 or me finishing a boot?
Me running a 40. I'm not running a 7-second 40. If you beat me in that, we may have to do that.
That would be a pretty good idea.
To go out to a field, set up a camera, you have a boot, I run 40 yards, who finishes first? If you beat me in that, I would be so embarrassed. Like, I don't expect to run fast, but, like, if I can't run, like, 6 seconds or better, like, I already need to lose some weight, but that would be a problem. Like, that would be a bigger problem than we think. Okay.
All jokes, guys. All jokes.
Now, a bong, I would expect you to win because you can do those in like 2.5 seconds.
Oh, yeah.
2 seconds.
That was pretty quick.
Yeah.
DC, Cullen would be no.
Tom says I'm 70 and over 300 pounds. I could beat Cullen. I don't know if you're trolling or not, but if you're 70 and watching YouTube, you are ahead of the game for people in your age bracket.
You're also...
My parents are in their 60s, and, like,
yeah.
My dad calls me and my sister his IT team, IT crew, because he's gotten better, but, dude, I'll say this. Hannah's mom is so inept. My wife with technology, it is brutal, dude. It is so bad.
Yeah.
But hey, we're here to help. We're here to help.
That we are.
That's impressive, Tom. Appreciate you tuning in.
Yeah.
Appreciate you tuning in.
Be honest. Do you set YouTube up yourself, or is it like?
Are you savvy with technology, Tom?
Yeah.
I'm asking like seriously, not like in a like, oh, there's no chance he is. Some people are. My dad's dad is in his mid 80s. He's pretty tech savvy for his age. Like I'd say he's on par with my dad, and he's 25 years older.
Right. We can do something. Again, this could be like off-season stuff that we do if it ever gets like really creative.
He is prob fast as hell.
Born 1954, Bear fan since.
Frank Fleming, Barstool Frank, he
yeah.
quote tweeted the Liam Eichenberg resigning. He goes, I fucking hate Chris Greer. 2 a concussion week 1.
I will say this, him and Rolly lockstep on that one. He hates Liam Eichenberg.
Oh, this is pretty funny. A Bears guy on Twitter, Brandon Sugray, tweeted this out. He goes, Olamide Zakias, Dayo, Odeyingbo, Eamon Agbogbemiga, Karana Magaji. Ryan Poles doesn't make it easy on the Riders, does he? That is 4 tough names.
Dude, I will say, so to give y'all a little kind of peek behind the curtains, right? So we have, software, right? So Harry will script out a show, any given show, right? And if there's, a tough name or whatever, he'll do the job, right, of spelling it out for me or whatever. So all I have to do is, input the names. It pulls up, their headshots, their stats, whatever, right?
Mm-hmm.
We would have gotten into that cut so much quicker, but I could not spell Zacchaeus' name for the life of me. I was like, what is this? I'm not even drinking today. What is this? So yeah, that was fun.
Was the first name or last name given?
Last name. Olamide is easy. It just I think I missed an A or a U.
How about this quote from DeMarcus Lawrence? Dallas is my home, but I know for sure I'm not going to win a Super Bowl there.
Yeah.
That's pretty damning on Jerry.
Yeah. I did see that on Seahawks Twitter.
That is a damning quote.
That's a very damning quote.
If I'm Jerry, that's pretty embarrassing.
Pretty bad. Yeah, Schneider, obviously they did the Sam Darnold press conference. Schneider was talking to G-Stack. I'm a Seahawks fan. I got love for the Bears, but I am a Seahawks fan. FGB, by the way. So he was talking, and he mentioned, with Geno, he, had this quote saying, we were never going to get extension done.
Mm-hmm.
So be it. But, yeah, Lawrence came out and had some really interesting quotes, too. Talked about Dirty and just kind of the relationships there. And
yeah, it's interesting. Norman said he's under contract, Norman, but he's eligible for an extension. Micah is.
Yeah.
But he'll be there at least this year. I would imagine they extend him at some point.
Yeah.
But might not be for a while.
When asked about the DK Metcalf trade, by the way, Schneider said, we just want people that want to be here. Throwing a little shade at Seattle, which, again, it is what it is. But
look, DK's
I know.
He's a character. You
Yes.
deal with guys like that to an extent, but eventually, typically, those things run their course.
100%.
All right, Tanner M.
Oh, well, so this one from Caleb. We'll take it off screen real quick, but whatever happened to Harrison Grams?
Hey, you never know what the future will bring.
Ooh, we're getting some rolling in now. You guys want to?
We're $2 away from a boot.
Ooh,
I think I'm getting to a boot.
I appreciate that, George.
Crawling me across the finish line.
Appreciate that, George. Tell you what, if we get to 100, which is literally $1.20 away, I'll join you.
A little race to
Why not?
sign off? All right.
Why not?
I'm down.
Why not? Just sign off. We're waiting for these other ones to come in.
Okay.
Appreciate that.
All right, we'll get to Tanner, Patrick, and then if we get one more
they're just
$2 one, we'll be across the finish line.
Agreed.
Across the finish line.
Get this here in a second. God. Oh, there it is.
My kid's actually at grandparent camp this week because both me and my wife, this is our busiest week at work of the year for both of us. So
wow.
We dropped him off with my parents, and then we're going to get him on Saturday.
Mm-hmm.
Miss him, man. This longest I've been away from him. It's almost 2.
Aw.
But he's doing great.
Hey, you know, maybe
We're
is
FaceTiming.
PJ watching us right now? Is there a chance PJ's watching
Probably
us?
not. Probably not. There's a chance, but probably not.
If you're watching PJ,
We love you, buddy. You guys doing Madden streams again? I don't know. I know you guys like them. They're kind of a pain. I'm not going to lie. They take a lot of time, too. I'll put that in the TBD category. Won't completely rule it out, but they take a lot of time. So
yeah. And, like, for me specifically, so, like, I was the one that kind of, like, if you all remember, would, like, film them, get the games and everything, have to, like,
it's
load
even
them
more
in.
work for Cullen. It's like, we'll see.
Yeah. Like, what would you guys rather have? Madden streams or, well, what other videos would we be making? I'd rather be making other videos for you guys. Let's put it that way.
Yeah.
I'm going to be honest.
We'll see. I'll say this. If we do it, I probably won't commit to, like, just doing the full season. We might just do a random one here and there.
Maybe highlight games.
Yeah, we're about to sign off. Patrick, Dante Thornton at 72. I think that's way too early. I know he ran well, but I'd be surprised if he went that high.
Fair.
Caden, drink that boot. Go see your kid. I will FaceTime him. I will do that. All right, you want to go fill us up?
Yeah, I got you.
And then we will do that and get out of here.
The usual, right?
Yep. Thoughts on Fields of the Jets? I'm happy for Justin. Got a bigger contract than I expected. Aaron Glenn respects him. He teams up with a couple of his college teammates. They signed Josh Myers to be center. Garrett Wilson was one of his top targets at Ohio State, so rooting for him. Jets have a lot of work to do, but I hope it works. If not, he'll stick around in the league as a backup if it doesn't work, but he gets a shot to establish himself as a starter. We'll see if he's able to do it. Harrison, I want to see Bears now in Green Bay on draft day. We will not be coming to Green Bay. We will be in the studio live for all 7 rounds. But, yeah. Soldier Bear, Harrison, can't we be friends? Thought we're all friends. You got all 531 of you guys are my friends. At least that's how I view it. What time is it? It's Central Time, Levante. It's 6:30. 6:13. The production. I literally looked at Colin. I go, it is a bloodbath in production. Oh, he was going in. Kind of felt bad on chiming in. It's like, all right, I think he gets it. Yeah, I know. Lordy. I saw Xavier lost by 2.
They're up by 14 in the second half.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh,
Dude,
Jesus.
Ryan Conlon, 38 points. He was going off.
I think they'll still get in.
Texas winning today.
Oh, that's not good. You need OU to lose tonight. If they win, that is major
Even though I think
trouble.
I'll
Put Xavier in Dayton. They're a Dayton team.
Yeah, I think they will be. It should come down to like these mid-majors. We just need all the 1 seeds.
Yeah, you can't have bid stealers.
No.
No bid steal. No St. Bonaventure winning the A10.
No, that would be terrible.
Yeah, we're gonna do a boot and then sign off. Producer Jack, he got out the Bears news cut.
I did actually.
Unlike Giants now.
Dude, it's a.
Is it still going on?
It's done.
Oh.
We got it
No,
out.
I know, but is it
Well,
still?
Did you hear the second part of it?
No.
Where he highlight cut but didn't actually cut it in the lobby, so the unedited version got pushed. We didn't know.
So what did y'all do?
We had to delete it, edit it, and push it.
Just now? Oh.
Absolute disaster. And he left before 6.
That's a tough look.
Like, is it fair to get in on bad?
Yeah, it's tough. That is tough. That is tough. That is tough. Oh, man. All right, Colin's getting these boots. And then we're getting this done. New Bob Does Sports came out. I know what I'm watching tonight.
We rocking a boot race on Bears?
Yeah, me and Colin. You trying to get in?
Yeah, of course I am.
Go get one. All right. We'll have one of our other producers/hosts, Trace Moustakis, a.k.a. Moose. We'll make it a 3-person boot race. He's hopping in. Dude, Cullen as Seahawks, Harry as Bears Madden game. That'd be fun. I'll say this. If we do Madden, like, I actually want to play. I don't want to do the simulations. I want to actually play. Which is probably what we'll do.
I will, yeah. We're about to get off here. I'll make sure to cover you all.
There's some Moose chants in the chat. They're saying he killed it on. He's gonna do a boot, I think, with us.
He said he wanted to. Why not?
Y'all know he's a Bears fan. Moose is.
He is. He's coming for my job.
Nah.
We didn't get another.
Moose, if you guys ever watch Red Zone on our Chat Sports channel, he was usually hosting that this year. Lord Buddy Bear. Bears is the channel staying late today. Monday and Tuesday it was Giants. Yesterday it was Seattle. Yeah, we're about to sign off, Lord Buddy Bear, unless you, you go crazy on us.
We'll do another, shot clock after this.
First time ever being on my favorite team's
Let's
channel.
go.
You know what? Hey, round
Cheers.
of applause for Moose, man.
Round of applause to Moose. He's a Bears fan.
Bear down, baby! Let's
Woo!
Shout out.
Get the Moose chants in the chat.
go! I love it.
They're,
Moose.
I don't know how fast you chug these, but I assume it's faster than me.
Listen, I've had enough of these already. I might as well have one.
Okay, cheers.
Cheers.
Salute.
Bear down! Jesus Christ, Colin!
Have you not seen that before? Just kind of what we do around here. Whew. Oh, man. Whew. That's what we do.
Hey, listen. 13-4 next year. Ben Johnson taking us to the NFC Championship
Let's
game.
go.
Mark it down.
Bear down. Shout
Love
out
it.
to Moose.
Shout out to Moose, man.
Cullen, you are a dog in the chat. This
I appreciate that.
guy's an animal, dude.
It's what we do. All right. We're going to set the 2-minute shot clock. Again, if we don't get any more supers, what do you want to set it at? I'll let you set it, Harry.
Yeah, 2's fine.
right.
I'm ready to get out of here, to be
That's fair.
honest. So,
I just want to, hey, Lord Buddy Bear's here, and I know he likes to party.
Lord Buddy Bear he's a wild card. You never know what he's going to do.
Yeah, Cullen and Chugs.
Yeah,
to be honest,
they're on their own level. Have y'all done another race recently?
Chugs beat me
A couple days ago?
however long ago it was, yeah. It wasn't my greatest boot.
Not all boots are equal either. Sometimes you get it, you find
Yeah.
that it's a rhythm thing.
Like, to
it's
be
all
honest-
about how you start. If you start poorly, you're cooked.
Yeah. To be honest, that one didn't start off great. Like the one we just did, but we rallied, we stayed the course, mentally powered through.
Exactly. Exactly.
But shout out to y'all, man.
Cullen is half Mexican. Is that true?
Maybe in a past life. I don't know. Maybe I need to take a
What is Cullen in Spanish? Let's
20,
see.
23andMe test or something?
Let's see. Google Translate.
I'm
let's
curious
see.
to know. I have no idea what this is.
Let's see. I mean, it might just be like Cullen. There may not be like
Maybe. Someone tell Harry to turn the boot sideways before he drinks. I will say for me, so if you watch me and Chugs race, he's
Yeah, it's
drinks
just-
like Harry.
It's just Cullen. There's no Spanish translation.
Yeah, that's fair.
Let's see if there's a one for me.
Awesome says Cullen in Spanish is dog. That's funny. Like if you watch Chugs and a lot of people here at Chat Sports, they drink it like straight up.
Yeah.
I do it sideways personally, just because I don't know. That's
It's just
how I do
It's
it.
a mental thing, or it's just it's
El
just,
Coyote. That's funny. Borracho.
all right. This has been fun, guys.
Yeah. I think we're about to get out of here.
TBD about tomorrow live. We'll for sure have content. We'll play it by ear if we're gonna roll live. We might. Oh,
Oh.
Lord Buddy Bear.
Buddy Bear.
We'll end on Buddy Bear.
Yeah, we'll end
I
on
think it's
Buddy
a good way to
Bear.
go. He
That's
goes.
Are you Bears fans happy with free agency? I am. I might be the only Raider fan who is. Not overspending. I'm not used to that.
Yeah, the Raiders have been calculated with their moves. I like what the Bears have done because they've been aggressive, but I don't think anything they've done is reckless. Like, the Odeyingbo one's definitely probably a bit of an overpay and a projection, but it's not a contract that's just going to kill you, even if it doesn't work out. So they attacked the trenches. That was the priority. Now they add Zakus. We'll see what the contract is. I think they're plugging holes. They're plugging holes, and ideally in free agency, you plug holes without being too reckless, and I think they've done that. So I like it. I'm excited. We'll see. You know, the Zakus, that's more the type of move I would expect moving forward, like the lower end signings, depth pieces, and then it's all about the draft. All about the draft. So, all right, we are out of here. Shout out to Colin. Appreciate Moose hopping on, knocking out a boot with us. My name is Harrison Graham. TBD if we're live tomorrow. Have those noties turned on just in case we do go live. Bear down.